Holler if you hear me, and welcome to tonight's edition of Art Uncensored. It is the top of the hour, 10 p.m. Eastern, and we are here together to complete page 7 to issue 7 of my comic book Encrypted. And today we did have a bit of an odyssey out there, considering that there I was, as promised, out there downtown to drop off copies of issue 2 at the John K. King Used Rare Books downtown, and well, dodging the rain was a little bit of a difficult thing to take care of. But that's, one of those things of life in the big city, and also life in the big city when it's winter time. You're going to wind up dealing with a lot of, inclement weather. And when you spend so many months spending most of your days stuck in home because of heavy snow, you are going to wind up just saying, fuck it, and you're going to head out into the city anyway if you had something planned. So going ahead and doing it. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. So issue 2 now is up there in 2 of the 10 participating retailers that we grew the circulation to. So now when it comes to those local retailers, we now also have Green Brain Comics to now give them their copies of issue 2, as well as Nick's Comics down in Ohio. So we have that to consider and have that to go and keep on. And then with all the other participating retailers, they all wound up accepting and getting their copies in late February. So like I said, those we're going to be waiting until we get to April, like say about earlier mid-April. Then I'll go and start contacting them about stocking issue 2 and sending those out there. And I see we've got RJ coming in early to say good evening, and Nick coming in to say for everyone to have fun on the stream. All right, all right, all right. That's good to see that, because yes, we are up. We are ready. I've got a little bit of this. And also there were some packages that this morning that were things that my mother sent, as well as also because of Easter, my extended family down in Georgia also sent some things. So that was nice to come home to. Things that definitely, healed, dealing with having to be out there in the rain. But I'd rather it be, raining on and off like that than dealing with oppressive blizzards and everything like that. Because remember, it's only another, right now, right here, we've only got another, 10 days left of winter. But remember, when it comes to living here in Detroit, you might wind up getting, hotter spring weather in, say, May. And even then, I remember there have been times in May where still the temperature drops so much that the furnace winds up going on. Like the morning of one of the years I was going to the Motor City Comic Con, and I was still going to there regularly. Yeah, that happened. And also because of just the intense weather and how dealing with the intense weather that can happen either if you're going there in the October show they do, or if it's the show that they have out there in in the middle of May. You have that, plus how expensive they make it to get into the show, and then also there's the expensive travel cost up to get home to and from there. Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, and I ain't into it. No, so. And also just how increasingly miserable an experience the Motor City Comic Con is. I've just decided, I ain't hitting up there. I mean, not without some, if I was able to hitch a ride with somebody, got some great support from other fans out there to go up in there. Yeah, I'll stick with actually getting, Encrypted circulated in comic shows that are actually about selling comics, like Dawn of the Collectors or the Warren Elks Comic Book Show. And of course, that's why I'm happy to remind you that, yes, I've got 2 comic shows I've got a table for coming up next month, which is the Detroit Comic Book Show, and there's the Dawn of the Collectors happening. That's on the 4th, and then on the 19th for Dawn of the Collectors. And RJ says, if it's anything like the northeastern U.S., even when they say spring, it can still see snow. Yes, and I think actually when I got home, I was even being told about, there's supposed to be predictions of snow happening, and oh no. Being so eager to finally be up and out of the home and all that, and now there's that. Well, it's I think I might wind up doing what happened when I first got the bike, which is that even with dealing with the January oppressive snow and cold and all that, I still just wound up powering through and would go out on the bike anyway. I mean, at the very least, I could go up to, like Liberty Comics or someplace like that. Going up there on the days when the actual owner of the store is going to be there, that would be the most verifiable way of, going to check on whether or not Encrypted is sold right there. And I even told the owner last week about I do have issue 2 printed, but because of the deal, I think it would be better. Them and Comics Corner, I both went on days where the owner was there, where I made the deals with the stock Encrypted, and I told them because of the promised bi-monthly schedule, even though, yeah, issue 1 circulation, I got it to you later than with other people, I'll still wait until April to show up with issue 2 for you because, to actually keep that going, and also more time to see whether or not it would really sell. So remember that with our little friend known as issue 2, what we've got right here. Right there for everyone. And yes, so we had 2 copies that were dropped off today to John K. King Used Rare Books. So that's another 2 copies less out there of the circulation for you to go and get. So act now while supplies last and make sure you get your copy of issue 2. Make sure. Because right there, regular copy is only $5, or you can get your copy autographed for $10, or a copy that's autographed and sketched in for $20. And that's for issue 2. Or, of course, we still have supplies for issue 1 right here. And as you notice, there's the printing differences between issues 1 and 2, and then those learning curves of getting through issue 1 or 2 and the printing process and all that will then all be applied, and we will really see a much more closer to perfecting the process with issue 3. And then building on that consistently for the rest of the for as long as the series continues, whether it winds up ending with the 12th issue next year, as I was saying, I'm committed to doing 12, or if it winds up having enough success in circulation that I'm able to grow on and continue the series onwards. Either way, this will still be a positive learning curve and a positive experience to do, and it will definitely be the learning experience to go on towards other titles I already am dedicated to doing or that I've already done. Like I said, however long Encrypted goes, I'll still end up after this, publishing Slick, and then also publishing the very first comic ever finished, Pain Machines, because, like I said, Pain Machines being a more abstract psychological horror kind of story is something where the artwork on that, the process on that, it'll be more, a challenge. I'll be more focused on how to properly print it as opposed to thinking whether or not artistically it's good enough. And then going on from there, it'll be then, of course, there'll be Slick to go infinite to have printed up. And like I said, however long it takes during this year and the next year, which we are committed to getting, Encrypted out there every 2 months, I do plan with Slick to go and eventually have it be completed and then posted in some kind of, webtoon form or something like that before, and doing that in parallel with continuing to, in real time print Encrypted on a publishing schedule that I've already got planned. And then after Encrypted's done, go and put Slick out there into the world. Because our friend right there would definitely want to see more of that. And as much as we talk about and joke about how Encrypted would be nice to see, as a movie or some series starring Sydney Sweeney, really, I'm more confident thinking that Slick is the type of property that, well, since it's built on a creative influence of 90s platforming adventure heroes like Gex or Earthworm Jim, that would definitely come off more, filmic or toyetic, or, making a cartoon and a breakfast cereal out of. We can have Slick as a breakfast cereal and as a video game series and as, a line of toys from Playmates, like what was supposed to happen with the continuing with the Ninja Turtles in the 80s and 90s. And then what was going to happen later on with, I think, when Cyberfrog was first being done in the 90s, there was a toy deal that was, signed, but then didn't wind up going through. But hey, since I'm still one way or another actually getting Slick done and planning on, doing a, larger size graphic novel that's closer to like what you would see with the big story structure frame of reference for Slick are those child readership focused graphic novels that Doug TenNapel used to do annually for Scholastic's graphics imprint, like Cardboard or the Newts trilogy he did, or the ones even did before that for Gear that he did, or Creature Tech, which were the first comics he did, and those were done under Image. and that sort of stuff, which is one way or another is very diametrically opposed to what's going on with Encrypted. One way or another, everything I do with Encrypted, whatever kind of story I do with Encrypted, whatever drawing style I adopt for Encrypted, it's still a million miles away from slick. Although I do think that the continued work on Encrypted and developing how I've been doing artistically here is definitely going to wind up being a big improvement over what's going to happen with finishing slick. And even though Slick is much more of a Doug TenNapel inspired cartoon adventure kind of story, still how I draw there is going to be a big difference. And we've got Weatherman, the return of Weatherman. Severe rains are messing with my signal, but I got Starlink. Hello, all. Hello to you. So everybody say hello. Everybody say hello to the return of Weatherman. It is great to see him here. And well, severe rain. We're then going to remember Weatherman, our friend out there, is all the way out there in Washington. So the severe rains are to be expected. It's not a surprise. It's not like, here in Michigan where it's, mid-March and yeah, you've got that rain going on. And everybody here expected to just snow and snow and snow. Then suddenly it was a bright, sunshiny day. And now that, weather's happening again. So it's all over the place. But either way, I'm still, after the weekend, got me, power drunk at being able to leave my own home. And even with all the severe flood warnings that were happening today, there was no flooding in my home or anything like that. I'm up and out and ready. But yes, Weatherman, how exactly? No, I'm curious. What was the process like for you to go and have to take care of getting that, getting the Starlink installed? What was that like? And also, what was the process behind the previous service provider getting rid of them and getting the Starlink people in? How and the Starlink people coming into install? How quick was it? Was it a slow process? Was it miserable? Was it people asking all kinds of questions? No. Did your sister show up and she accidentally revealed more of her role play costumes for all of the Starlink people to see? We are all curious. And also, here is a little less text involved in this page, but still more Art Nouveau framing involved in some form. But there's hope for Weatherman to enjoy. And Weatherman also clarifies gusts of 30 to 50 miles per hour winds and flooding rain. Jesus. Well, we had wind warnings and rain over here, but not winds up to 30 to 50 miles an hour. And the rain, so I'm guessing that today here in Detroit was not that different from what was happening over in Washington. So, well, a little bit more in common than I honestly ever expected. So there's a little bit of learning something new every day. A little bit of a little something on the end. But yes, hey, welcoming back, and well, a little someone else over here wants to welcome you back as well. Yes, welcoming back. Yes. And if you didn't notice on the mug, yes, that man's name was Jesus. There's two kinds of people. There's those who get stomped on and those who do the stomping. Who said that? I don't know. Who was that guy? What was his name? Oh, yeah, Jesus. This girl thought that because she was a meter maid that she had the right to go around giving everybody parking tickets. There was, still not taking crap from anybody. Never could stand the guy, but he was right about not taking crap. No matter what you do, no matter where you go, son, don't take no crap from nobody. Yes. If you remember that from Dirty Work. Oh. Just a little something to make us all have a good time. What are you doing? What are you doing there? Looking duck. But people are all having a good time there, and I hope you all had a good time last night with the Styx Hexenhammer footage. I mean, considering the type of man he's proven himself to be, the more we get to see him get humiliated like that, where there he is bleeding with the tooth loose, and that tooth wound up eventually falling out. And the lisping, the Lou Holtz whistling when he speaks is always fun. Now he whistles like a horse whether he wants to or not. And if you want to go and see more, because a day ago the man did do some new uploads. This is through Rumble. Let's try this out. Let's try this one. But remember, we get a metric ton of these ads on Rumble.
All right, everyone. We start off today, of course, talking about Iran. The Iranian military basically has been decimated by the United States, and
it's sort of like a Lou Holtz, isn't he? A bit of a compelling figure if you're entirely drugged out of your mind and you're very stupid or a bad judge of character, or you're a woman that has made a lot of terrible decisions in your life, and then you look at this man and you think, oh, I want to date that man. As if it's not bad enough, the man's legal name is Tarl, and then he goes on the internet calling himself Styx Hexenhammer. Or as RJ says, that hat and that lisp make it impossible to take him seriously. Yes. Wherever he is now, it's up for debate where he is. Maybe he's at some kind of clinic. Considering the drug and alcohol problems he's going through, there's talk online that he might be at some sort of rehab facility or something like that up where he is in Vermont. Or maybe he's off at some place with one of the different girlfriends of his, one of, some sort of girls next door situation where he's got several girlfriends at the same time. And here, there's still a metal terminal squashed and destroyed. Oh, wait, no. This is Weatherman referring to the previous internet service that now has been replaced with Starlink. There is still a metal terminal squashed and destroyed on the edge of my property, and they won't fix it until I pay for it. I'm the only customer out of it. Well, okay. Well, Weatherman, I'm pretty sure it's a matter of you don't care, or it's a matter of, no, you don't care what it is they say. You didn't cause that damage. It's not your fault. So you're not going to go and be that sort of, you're not going to pay for something that wasn't your fault, which I'm entirely for, and I'm entirely pro. Yes. They're looking at you as something that presents some type of threat case to them, when no, it's a matter of they're just being stupid. They are very interesting, but also stupid. Very, very stupid. Yes. We should get that guy, whoever was that guy on the, on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In to say that about you, that to look at them and get him to look at all of those people and say they are very interesting. But also, these people are very stupid. They are stupid. You're stupid. Yes, very, very stupid. Or maybe take that metal, terminal away, take it away from where it is, and wind up using it to make some type of metallurgy work. Make some type of metal sculpturing or whatever out of it. Somebody that will take a hollowed out or a broken old TV and wind up making some type of effect out of it, some type of model out of it. What was that movie? Grumpy Old Men. Yes. Where Anne Margaret's character used to be an art professor, so she took an old TV and now is using it to make a little forest mural with plants in there, something like that. That'd be interesting. The good kind of interesting, not stupid. Let's see what else they saying here. He's got that lisp that it reminds me of how my father used to make fun of Lou Holtz when Lou Holtz would speak on ESPN College Game Day. This metal terminal, it looks like someone drove over it. I told them, why would I destroy it? That's how I get my phone and my internet. Yes, how I get my phone and my internet, why would I want to destroy it? And it's not as if you have a history of just randomly going around your property in a drunken rage in some sort of, driving around in your car and just smashing into trees. No. That's not what you do, so that's not what you're like. So that's definitely, they got something else that they're doing there. They were, They're looking for some kind of excuse, even though they don't know you that well. But that just makes them stupid.
And various other forces within the region. This is a war, not a conflict. There is no such thing. That's soft language, as Carlin would term it. It's war. You're bombing people. What else are you going to fucking call it? Now, I'm going to give you the good and the bad news. And please bear with me. This will be a nuanced video. So you might hear something that I say that you highly disagree with, but then
again, one way or another, I can know for sure what I agree or disagree with the man. I am not pumped out of my mind on alcohol and drugs and several, monster women I'm sleeping with at the same time, who then wind up, whether it's proven that he was abusing her or not, or if she was just hitting him at random, yeah, they wind up knocking one of my front teeth out. No, that doesn't happen. So I've got that on my side. And also, Weatherman, to clarify that, yes, your name on the shipping information has been corrected. I know that, yes, the last name had been misspelled. We got that corrected. And I'm trying to go and see, all right, the tracking, the process of where it is. Right now, it's in transit as of today, 5:38 p.m., Yes, it's moving within the network and is on track to be delivered by the expected date. And when is that expected date for sure? Let's see. Trying to find where the expected date is on here to show so that the vendor can expect it. That I do not see. Jesus. But there's also the other one. Like I said, we resolved the problem with the previous, issue 1 that was stuck up in the shuffle through. All right, here we go. And yes, because, like I said, whatever was going on with Weatherman with your copies of issue 1, that was resolved, and now it is firmly, irrefutably on the way, and now it is at a Seattle distribution center. Yes, it arrived at this Seattle distribution center today at 1:57, so it's currently in transit to the destination when, although not yet reported as out for delivery, which, considering how far away out there in Washington where Weatherman is, so it should be there within the next few days or so. And then not too far after that will be your copies of issue 2. Weatherman also says 20 plus years in good standing and no issues, but they want me to bend over and take it. Well, if 20 plus years of you being a customer and they act like that, then yes, screw them and go and bring in the Starlink if they're going to treat you that way. And also, Weatherman, because of the error, the problem with the Postal Service and them returning the copies of issue 1, I packed those copies of issue 1 with an apology letter and some extra free gifts as a surprise. What they are, well, you'll see when those copies of issue 1 arrive, followed not too far behind by copies of issue 2.
and you might hear something that you highly agree with.
I think it's just, I didn't really want to hear, because nowadays this man's opinions on anything is honestly meaningless to me. It's just a matter of I wanted to give you an update or reminder of the list there because of the tooth that was broken out there. So now he sounds even more like, I would say, here's a man that probably at this day and age, it's a matter of who does he sound like more to you, depending on your frame of reference. Does he sound more like Lou Holtz? Or does he sound like Mr. Herbert from Family Guy? Hey, you, why don't you pick on somebody your own size? I'm gonna get this ruler, this piece of string, this box, and this teddy bear. I'm looking forward to that muscly on paper, boy. Oh, you're starting to piss me off now. I'm gonna slap you right in your penis. Oh, Nathan. Oh, there, Chris. How about you go and drink some of this? And well, you're more than welcome for that. It's the least I can do for screwing up with all the screwing up when I keep on promising everybody that I get such immediate prompt service to everybody. That's why now, looking at the mass shipment of issue 2 to all those who pre-ordered and all of those, well, then again, if I didn't do it correctly, well, then why would anybody want to go and ever go and either buy my work or go and show their support through the channel right here? I would then basically it would be I would have no ability to really earn the right to get your super chats or your channel memberships or any business in the store. So now that's why let's go in and get started on the talent portion. A little bit of something on the end because good evening. I'm Dan Rather. And tonight on CBS News, 7 of Saddam's forces set amass 6 of Saddam's seditious raiders. I'm Dan Rather. Now, what are we doing here for CBS News? And also, when I was downtown, I went up to Blick Art Materials because that's always been the easiest place to go and find the replacement nibs for the Copic Multiliner SP pens. And I asked the manager about that, and it turns out that Copic has discontinued the replaceable nibs for their Multiliner SPs, which is entirely bizarre because one of the selling points about why they make them so much more expensive is the fact that these are drawing pens that you can replace, that you can keep around by simply refilling them. Now, the refillable cartridges, the ink cartridges, they still make those. Copic has continued to make the replaceable ink cartridges for these pens, but not the replaceable nibs. So now I guess it's just a matter of either if you can find them on like the secondhand market in some way or another, if somebody's selling them on eBay or some other type of secondhand store or some other type of, online seller. If you can track down the Copic Multiliner SP replacement nibs, go ahead. But the replaceable cartridges are still available. If you go through like a Michaels or their website or Blick or stores or their website or the ink cartridge or like on, I think maybe Amazon. Let's see. Yeah, the cartridges are still available through Amazon. But the nibs are all sold out and they discontinued them. So now they're going to be on the secondhand market. They're going to be as valuable as Quaaludes. And Redman says the wind keeps interrupting my signal. Good thing the installer got the dish mounted before the wind came. Good. Because yes, like that's just a complete nightmare when that happens, or if it's especially with that sort of signal that you're trying to do and trying to take care of, but it doesn't wind up happening. But there's another artist of that 90s era I'd like to show you all. I showed you that bit of Mark Silvestri last night, so now let's look a little bit at Whilce Portatio.
Local tax experts are here. Now you can meet with a TurboTax expert in your...
But first we have to put up a TurboTax. And now, well, yes. Imagine if this rain keeps up through Easter and then trying to do the Easter egg hunts be a nightmare.
Hi, I'm Stanley. You know, Whilce Portacio has been working at Marvel for, 8 years now, and this is the first time I've met you? I mean, that's ridiculous.
I've actually seen a picture of you, so I feel we're close.
You've seen a picture of me and you still stayed at the job, did you? Well, that's incredible. Listen, it is great pleasure, really, to be here with you. I've been your fan for those 8 years, even though we haven't met. You're not only a penciler, you're an inker. You're even a nice guy. I don't know what you're doing.
You've been talking to the wrong people.
But anyway, Will, you've been doing the X-Men, right?
Yes, what they officially call the Uncanny X-Men.
That's right. Well, I was going to ask you about that. How many X-Men books are there now?
It seems like there's 5 million. There's officially there's Excalibur. There's X-Force. There's X-Factor. And there's Uncanny X-Men, and then there's X-Men.
Son of a...
But
I mean, the X-Men and the Uncanny X-Men are two different.
They're 2 different teams. But see, the team I'm working on, the Uncanny X-Men, or what we could call the original X-Men, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's made up of most of it's Marvel Girl, Bobby Drake, Iceman, Warren Worthington. He's now the Archangel.
Oh, he's now the Archangel, right?
Yeah, he's a little more. It's sinister times, so he's got to be a little more sinister.
And who else is a part of the group?
She's not a part of the original team, but there's Storm. She took after Scott, so you could say she's Scott's stand-in.
I just had a very depressing thought. If anybody is watching this who doesn't know the X-Men, we've been talking gibberish for the past couple of minutes. But anyway, I want to talk to you, and I want to know all about you. But at the same time, I want to show a lot of your artwork. So for those who are not familiar with Whilce Portacio's artwork, would you like to just hold something there up and let them see just the extent of your talent? I don't want to embarrass you, but you have a few things here I think people might like to look at.
Okay, actually, what I wanted to show here, what a lot of people don't get to see, are some of the different steps.
Well, let's let them get to see it.
Like for instance, I don't know if they can see this, but this is what we call a pencil sketch, and this is done full size. We actually do it this size, 11 by 17, so that when they shrink it down comic book size, it hides all the mistakes.
In your case, there aren't too many. Now, let's just mention, this is your artwork.
Yeah, this is...
I mean, you didn't just grab a page from somewhere. You drew this. Okay.
But, okay, this is what they call a pencil. So these are just what it means. I took a pencil and I drew these. And then someone like Scott Williams comes along and he inks it. And I don't know if you can really see it, but what's neat is when you artists are personalities among themselves. When you get a pencil and an inker that gel together, who kind of like good friends.
That's the result.
Yeah, and if you look real close, it's pretty much exactly what I penciled. And artists or temperamental, everything has to be perfect.
Yeah, I know it's tough talking to you. You're just riddled with temperament. You're a tough guy. Let me
notice the brows.
Let me ask you this, Will. You used to be an inker, didn't you? You started as an inker.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough to be a penciler, so I filled in as an inker.
Well, you sure learned quickly. Now, of course, the penciler does it in pencil. The reason the drawings are inked so that they end up like this is that's the way they have to be for the engraver. They can't engrave the drawings if they're just or not as well.
Right. I mean, if you've ever, you're in school, take your number 2 pencil and you scribble, you get a nice tone. And okay, this is a Xerox of the original pencils, and you'll see it doesn't pick it up as one different. Yeah, the camera doesn't pick it up as one flat tone. So inker has to come in and actually he has a tough part because you get shades and stuff like this where I can just ease up on the pencil and it goes to gray, goes to white. I have a little fun, easy time. The inker actually, because he lays down an ink line and it's there. So he's got to come up with like little hatches, what they call or cross hatches, to recreate what I'm doing in pencil. So
I see what you mean. In pencil, you can get all sorts of tones of gray, shades of gray,
very
depending
easily
how heavily or lightly you lean on the pencil. But with ink, you've just got that black India ink. So to make it gray, you've got to have thin lines with little space between them and so forth. The inking, there's another interesting thing about inking. an inker can make a penciler's work look better, can make it look worse, or can make it look about the same. The inker has a lot of power in that respect. And but since this isn't really a course in comic book art, I see you have something else there that might be interesting for people to look at.
I like to concentrate on structure, and this is a cover I did for the certain character, and this was going to be painted, and so the painter had to see what was underneath everything, because what a painter does is he with color, with dark values, with light values, he creates volume, he creates depth. So in order to create that, he has to know what he's creating.
Right.
You know, so that's what this is. This is basically a preliminary drawing with all the muscles outlined and everything, so that he'll know exactly. It's kind of like a map. He knows exactly where
A
everything
guide
is.
for the
Right.
colorer. Yeah.
And then I come in,
Here's the good part.
and then I
All right, Weatherman says, okay, I need to log out. The stream is freaking out with all the disconnects. All right. Well, everybody wish Weatherman a good night there. And he left behind a gifted channel membership, so that is nice. That's good. That's fun that he came on in and did that. So, all right. That is nice to get, a gifted membership up on the board. Everybody wish Weatherman a good night. It's nice to see him here, and hope that the winds are able to cool down in the next few days so that we're able to see more of this generous gentleman right around here in these parts to make up for all the time that was lost. So we can get up and running. Oh, baby. For sure. Yes, good night. Good night to you.
fully pencil it, showing him what kind of lighting I wanted to create a mood. Because I mean, you could stretch the character, the pose and everything, and make him look dynamic and everything. But
You know something? This is like an actor reading lines without
Right.
expression.
right,
This is like the actor reading the lines, but now you have the expression and you have the emphasis.
right,
Yeah.
and that's where I have the most fun, just creating a mood.
So the first thing you do is just do the basic drawing, but then with your shading and your lighting, you can emphasize what you want and you can play up what you want and get the drama. And also, now you say this was actually colored.
This was supposed to be painted.
And it wasn't?
No, well, it's still here.
Oh, you mean they paint right over this drawing?
There are different methods, and for this piece, if it went through all the stages, it would have been painted on the actual piece itself.
Well, let's pause for a moment with the artwork because we don't want to spoil the viewer too much, but just give him too many wonderful things. And let me ask a little bit about you for a moment, Wills. Where are you from originally?
I was born in the Philippines,
Uh-huh.
the Philippine Islands. But see, my father, who is Filipino too, my whole family is Filipino, so we're pure Filipino. He's in the U.S. Navy. So when I was 2 years old, we were transferred to the States and all around the Pacific Rim, all around the West Coast. So I've always been a West Coast laid-back kind of guy.
Racial purity. Well, we know Nick Fuentes will pretend to like that.
But when I was when I got into high school, I started entering contests, national art
Drawing
awards,
contest?
poster contests, because I think that's one thing. I've seen so many young artists who have a lot of talent but no confidence.
Yeah.
So they're always second guessing themselves.
Yeah.
So they take a nice drawing and they change it because they don't feel it's right yet. That really kind of hurts me. I mean, because there's so much talent there and it could be wasted depending on which way the guy goes. So I entered a lot of contests, and I hope a lot of kids would enter poster contests, yearbook cover contests. If there's a National Scholastic Art Awards show, which I entered all the time, when you start winning those, then you start building the confidence and you start getting sure of yourself.
How
as
old
an
were
artist.
you when you knew you wanted to draw, when you started doing it?
When I was in first grade, you know how the teacher comes around, gives you a piece of paper,
Yeah.
gives you crayons, say, "All right, kids, draw something." So everybody would draw something. Teacher will come around, "Oh, Patty, that's real nice. What is it?" And the kid will explain. She goes, "Oh yeah, Bobby, what's that?" And again, I go, she came to me. I remember she came to me and she goes, "Oh wow, Will, did you see the Saturn V rockets lift off yesterday?" And I go, "Yeah." See, so that kind of clicked that, everybody else she had to ask, "What are you drawing?" But she knew what I was drawing. So
I see.
from there I started.
She said, "Hey, I think I've got something."
Yeah.
Isn't that something? She always knew you wanted to draw, huh?
Yeah. Actually, one thing kind of, I don't know if you can follow this, but it's also with the way I like to draw. It's also tied in with the way I like to construct story or approach a script. I like to analyze things. I like when things fall into piece together. I mean, together.
Yeah.
Like for instance, a body is made up, of shoulders, biceps, triceps, forearms, and all those pieces go together to make a whole. And when they're better, yeah. But when they fall in together, then it's for me, it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
So. As a kid, I loved geometry because you get that triangle and everything's there except one little angle or one little length of a line, and you got to figure that out. And I always loved just when things fell into place.
It's interesting. I've interviewed a number of artists now on this world famous series of ours, and most people think an artist is a guy who has some talent. He can draw, comes out good. Everybody I've interviewed, and of course I'm only interviewing the greats, everybody, they're real deep thinkers about this stuff. It isn't just, well, I can draw and there it is and there's a picture, but there seems to be almost a philosophy behind it. And I know it'll sound corny, almost a poetry. I mean, there is something, it means so much to the artist, and it's so much more than just, well, I drew a picture, I filled up a space, now I'll get paid. And it's interesting. Let me ask you one other thing. This is really apart from everything else, but we've had a number of Filipino artists working for us at our comic book company and our animation studio. I would say just about all of them are superb artists. And is there something special about the Philippines? I mean, do they concentrate on artwork there or something? We get more Filipino good artists than from any other country.
I think, and this is just me supposing.
I know you can't talk for the whole country.
Right. But real briefly, the Philippines has been conquered by the Japanese, by the Spaniards, everybody. So the mood in the Philippines has always been what I call apolitical. They've seen governments come and go, no matter how drastic. So everybody concentrates on personalities, on relationships. And I think any artist is actually boiled down that. He's showing himself, in every drawing he does. A confident artist is constantly showing how he thinks the world is. I mean, if he's in a depressed mood, he'll show depressed drawings, but he's, again, showing himself. And the Philippines is very much like that. It's very emotional.
That's the word, because there's a lot of emotion in all of your artwork, and all of the Filipino artists I know, there is emotion in it. There's a lot of feeling.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about the Philippines is that with the language, you can talk for 10 minutes, you can talk for an hour and not really say anything. But there's a lot of emotions. But see, you're one of the best.
But there is that emotion there.
Yeah. It's emotion. So I think that carries through with people who seem to have a talent, or if you believe in God-given talents, they're in this society which is very emotional, and when you do something nice, everybody reacts. Your friends are always there. So again, like what we were discussing earlier, the confidence builds early. Because you always, I mean, everybody always jokes with Asian families that you always have 5 million relatives. And I actually went to the Philippines and meet a nice girl, talk a bit, get along real well. Mom comes in. Oh, I'd like to introduce you to your cousin here.
I know what you mean. Well, that's great. And your dad was in the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I actually got to see a lot of different places that I wouldn't have naturally have seen.
Got an interesting background. Well, I don't want to keep people in suspense too long. We're going to get to your artwork. We're going to get you over to that drawing board in just a minute. But I just want to ask you one last thing. You just got back from the Philippines, didn't you? You were touring. And what were you doing there?
That was very interesting because you always hear that the Philippines is a depressed economy, and everything's going wrong there. Last summer, a comic book dealer came over to the United States, and he invited me over, fly me over there, and do a couple shows. I went to the Philippines, and they met me at the airport. I had a reception at one of the
Isn't that nice?
at Camp
Must have been
Agua,
a
one of the
hero.
military camps.
Yeah.
I did TV shows, I did radio shows, I did interviews. They really love American comics there.
You know something? They seem to love it. Love American comics all over the world.
Yeah.
I've had the same experience. You know, they don't throw big parties for me, but wherever I go, they're into American comics and comic books, especially.
I think it's that glimmer of hope that
Yeah.
that you should try to put into everything. That
Yeah.
as bad as anything gets, you can survive. You can achieve.
Well, speaking of comic books, I think we're now going to let you do what you do best. We're going to get you over to that drawing board. I know everybody's been waiting for it, and we're going to see you draw. And even if everybody hasn't been waiting, I am eagerly waiting to do that. So you think you can make it from here to there? I know you're probably all wired up with microphones and stuff. What do you say we try it?
Let me
See if we
loosen
do
the
it without
chain.
tripping. I'm going to take my little notes over here. Okay. Here we are. We have everything set for you. We have 5 pens, and we have some illustration board, which is very expensive, so treat it well.
Looks like an operating room.
That's right. I'll be the nurse, and I'll hand you the instruments if you wish. Here's a nice little, which I can't get off the tape. There you go.
It's called Shoppies.
All right. Now, what do you say? What do you say we start out? We'll start out simply, and then we're going to get real complicated with you. How about a face? How about showing us a simple little face, and then what you would do to give it all the drama that we'd want in a comic book, preferably a Marvel comic book.
Okay, I'll start with what I call a line drawing of a face, and then I'll show the exaggerations and everything. But then I'll show. Then I'll add in shading and everything like that to
Great.
show the what that does to a drawing. How
You're
that
going to do
creates
this right out of your head? Amazing.
So we start out with a eye.
What makes you start with an eye?
Oh,
I mean, that's right in the middle of the face. Don't you start with the outside or the top?
it's like what you said. It's the window to the world. So it's got to be
That's
great.
great. Do you always start with the eye, or you just feel like at the moment?
No, I would like to be I would like to think I'm temperamental. So whatever hits me at the moment.
So right now you're starting with an eye. Another time you might start with a nose or a wisdom tooth. Okay,
Ooh,
I won't
I'm-
interrupt you. Go ahead.
I'm
Let's
not-
hear your thought process.
I'm
while you
actually
do it.
gonna I might get braces, so I might start. You might see some weird teeth in the X-Men from now on. But you start out with whatever you want, and I love constructing things. So what I'll do is what we call line drawings. I'll delineate everything. I'll like in the piece I showed earlier.
Yeah.
I'll outline everything so that I'll have a basis. It'll be like I have a palette, a map to work with when I try to create, I'm adding the shading to create a mood. So you got to have eyes. So we got eyes. You got to have a schnauzer. So
And you're real good at anatomy. You know that the nose comes between the eyes, right?
yeah, that's one thing a lot of people don't really know. See, as an artist, since we don't have models in front of us, we have to construct everything. We have to see everything in our head. So like when we're doing an arm, the bicep is in the front, guys, tricep is in the back, split up into 3 groups. There's an elbow underneath that. Everything has to fall in place. So while we're drawing, even though we're not consciously voicing out all those little rules and whatever you want to call them, we're constantly thinking about those.
That's interesting. An artist in comic books doesn't use models, unlike many advertising artists and illustrators.
Yeah, they cheat.
Yeah. So you've really got to have it in your head.
Yeah.
Do you find when you draw, you're almost tracing an image that you have in your mind? I mean, do you see the picture in your mind before you draw it?
The best drawings are drawings that you see
In your mind.
in your mind. when you're not drawing, when you don't see it in your head, you're ad-libbing. And that actually can be real fun too, because if it does come out great, then it's, wow, what an accomplishment. I didn't know what I was doing. And it's like stand-up,
Yeah.
and the crowd's just not working with you. But then something happens, you just say something and they react to it, and then you just jump on that.
I got you.
So that's actually a lot of drawing, just playing with what you have. And just that's actually the funnest part, just seeing where everything goes.
I'm trying to, but if you keep talking with your hands, you're never going to. Oh, Lordy, this is good.
Okay, so let's have him screaming.
He looks very intense, doesn't he?
Yeah, so let's have him screaming. So
This is not a happy guy.
yeah. Oh, and kids, don't try this. If you stretch your mouth out this big, something bad might happen. Yeah. But like all comics are, well, the best comics are exaggeration, because we're doing fantastical people in fantastic situations. Actually, that's one of my little philosophies. We have these fantastic heroes. I mean, Bobby Drake can turn into ice. Archangel has these metal wings that not only can he fly, but they can slice through things.
That's fantastic.
From the people you hang out, that might be normal everyday things. But so yeah, one of my little things, or whatever you want to call it, is to take these fantastic situations with these.
And yes, if you stretch your mouth that big, you'll make money on OnlyFans or become an Academy Award-winning actress.
Fantastic people, and try to ground them in some kind of reality.
Draw.
Real light logic, real looking buildings, or things that things that aren't real, but somehow make them look real.
You
by
combine
adding
the
clues.
reality with
Right.
the fantasy.
Right, so that when you look
No,
at
I can use my hands, but you keep drawing. I'll talk with my hands.
actually,
you talk with
where
your
the
mouth.
chains. But if at least I feel that if you can somehow ground them in reality, not too much reality, because this is fantasy. Everything is larger than life. But if you can somehow ground it in some kind of reality, then the kids, I would think, would be saying, wow, that's what it would look like if it were real.
I know what you mean. And you can talk so sweet and draw something so horrifying. That's incredible. Now, look, I don't want to act like I'm smarter than anybody else, but I'm going to guess that's a villain. What do you think, huh? Now, people will think
actually,
you told me.
With the current trends, though,
Yeah, you don't
never
know.
know.
You're right. You don't know. That's great.
It's a tough.
I think the amazing thing, I've got to tell everybody watching that he is not drawing over any hidden blue lines. This wasn't pre-sketched or anything, and it's coming out. When you said kids don't try this, I thought you were going to say, our screamers are professionals and they're well trained, but don't you try this.
Actually, Marvel screamers are screamers into themselves. But here I'm trying to construct everything. So you got your two eyes, you got your nose, you got your teeth, you got your mouth. So that I'm trying to lay down a map, a groundwork for what I'm going to be doing later on, which is shading. And actually, another point, one of the best things any artist can do, whether he's just a beginning artist or whether he's a quote unquote professional artist, is to constantly draw. If you constantly draw, then it doesn't really become second nature.
I can't get you to constantly draw. Keep drawing and keep telling us about the second nature. You've got a camera. That camera is so expensive, and it's concentrating on this, and all it's getting is a hand going like that. Now you keep drawing and tell me all about it. See if you can do that. What did they say about the guy?
Where's the gum? Where's the gum?
Yeah, I was going to say he couldn't talk and chew gum at the same time. I'm going to teach you to draw and talk at the same time. Will, if you keep going and you draw any more of this, you're going to terrify the whole human race. We better stop. And the most important thing, how would you shade this to get the maximum amount of drama out of it?
Okay, like I said before, what you want to start out with is laying down a basic grid work, a map, so to speak. So you know where all the planes are, and what you want to do is shade them out. Okay, so this is a screamer guy. Okay, so he
obviously.
So you want a dark mood to it. So one of the easiest things is a light on top, casting shadows down. So let's try that.
You'll have a bulb up here, and it's casting the shadows down there. Go! Gives me such a feeling of power to say that.
Okay, good.
You have to be a contortionist to be an artist also. I can see that.
Oh, actually, I do some of my best drawings on the ground with my knees up on
Really?
here. Actually,
Anybody ever tell you you're a very strange guy?
a lot of people tell me I'm not normal.
I didn't say that.
I like
I'm a
being
genetic
being
freak,
around
and I'm not
people.
normal.
Well, you're succeeding beautifully. All right, we're shading this guy in now, right?
You're right. The nose would cast down a shadow.
Coming from under the nose, right?
The eyes would
Under the
cast down a
eyes,
shadow.
yeah.
You want to add little accents underneath everything. Okay, like these are ridges. So the bottom of everything would catch everything. If the light was here, then these sides over here would be catching the dark shadow.
Gotcha, right?
And then this
Don't make it look too easy, which you're doing, I must admit. You know, the funny thing is everything you're doing is really so right that when one watches you do it, the first thing...
And hello to Forever Lost coming into the chat. Well, today's been great. I did get up downtown and drop off my copies of Encrypted Issue 2 to John K. King Used to Rare Books. So we've got that up and running and moving and going. So things are looking up. Oh, yes. We've got that moving. Now it's time to get copies of Issue 2 to the other participating retailers.
one thinks of is, well, of course. I mean, that's the way I would do it. How else could you do it? You know, it's easy.
Well, see that's I think that's the magic. I mean, I really believe that you
man.
should study life.
Yeah.
And because when
Well, where are you going
like
to
you
find
said,
a guy like that to study?
no, but see, actually, what you do is you everything is a composite of everything. These are, you
Right,
know,
right.
even though you don't, you know, on people, you don't see lighting and lines like this on everybody. It's
Or teeth like that.
or teeth like that. Right? It's representational
I
of
know,
what's
yeah,
what reality is all about.
But you see, it's a matter of taste also, and
Right.
of knowledge and of artistic ability, because even to leave it rough there and leave that white space, which is so much better than if you had blackened the whole inside of the mouth, right?
Right. Actually, that's actually, this has been a trend right now to not actually fully blacken everything out, to act as if the top of the brows are reflecting off
But
light.
it's beautiful. It makes it look alive. And
Well, you can see so much more of it.
you could have destroyed me if you had said, well, actually, Stan, I was intending to blacken that in. I just didn't get around to it yet. Oh, that is great, Will said. Really is.
So actually, one of the things, okay, this is a guy going crazy. So everything you want to do, every line, well, not every line, but most of the lines you want to emphasize that. So let's give them
Why the
long
new pen?
beard
Was that
stubble.
getting dry?
It
or-
was
Yep,
going.
okay.
I actually murder all my pens. They
Yeah, I
hate
can
me.
see that.
They cringe when I walk into the art store.
Leave enough space to autograph it, because this one isn't getting away from me.
But
I
see-
think it's just terrific.
See, every line, since it's erratic, in an erratic character, in what you might call an unstable mind frame, everything has to delineate that, to show
Yeah.
that.
I'd say he's not well adjusted. Now you're going to sign that, and then we have another treat for our viewers.
But then, on the other side of the spectrum, if I was drawing a nice, pretty girl who, the girl next door type, she would have very little lines, and she would be real soft.
We'll get to
Soft.
that. How do you sign your name?
This
I
has
wanna
been a
see.
bone of contention amongst everybody.
Really? Why is that?
You got to look real closely.
All
Watch
right, I'm
carefully.
watching. I'm watching.
Since this is a videotape, here's an extra. My full name is William Cashano Portasha. Now watch very closely.
I'm watching.
William Cashano Portasha.
Is that really the way you do it? That's wonderful.
Actually, and then just to make it a little special, what I do is I sign Wills in Japanese.
In Japanese? Can you write Japanese?
No, I grew up a little bit in Hawaii, so I had a lot of Japanese
Son
friends.
of a
so I
gun.
learned
Oh, that's
how to do
great.
that.
All right. Somebody would have to kill to get this away from me. I'm keeping that. I think it's wonderful. I'm glad you signed it, and it goes right on the wall. You owe me some money, because I'll have to pay money to have it framed, but I'll send you the bill later. Now, the surprise I promised everybody. How about, I know we don't have too much time. We've got about 15 minutes of tape left. But how about trying to do as much as you can of a complete comic book page, just so people would see how you think about it, what goes into it. You've got a page to do. A hero is chasing a villain, okay? The chase starts here, and it's going to end on the bottom of the page where he catches the villain. I'm going to leave the rest of it up to you. You now have 14 minutes. Go. What's taking you so long?
Okay, first thing I do is
But keep drawing while you talk.
First thing I do is in my head. Okay, I think out the basics of the whole thing. Okay, first we'll establish where they are. Okay, let's say
They're in a box.
they're in a box. Okay, let's say the villain is on top of a building. So there's the villain, and the hero is just nonchalantly walking down the street. So we've established relationships where they are.
This would be the first.
No, this is actually just what I'm thinking in my head.
Oh, where it's taking place. You're
Right.
setting
I'm
the
trying
scene.
to construct it in
Gotcha.
my head.
Okay.
Okay. So then, let's say we want to then go to the villain voice.
Trust me, when we get to the other panels, you'll see a lot more of Fiona in this skin shift she's in as this naughty schoolgirl. Trust me on that one. Because she's got the looks that kill. To her, that's not just a Motley Crue song, it's a way of life.
Sing out a challenge.
Yeah.
You know.
That's him shouting. That's his open mouth.
Right.
Okay.
Then I guess you want the hero reacting. He wouldn't be smiling, but this is just these are just pretty much notes for my head.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you want him reacting. And then let's
I guess the chase has to begin at some point.
Let's say he has a surprise. I mean, because like if you forewarn your victim, then you lose the point of surprise. So let's say he set something up. So I think what we want to do is expand this shot to show that there's something up. Let's say that he has little henchmen in the background.
The villain
In front of the hero.
Okay. Heroes never
while he
have
turns around.
henchmen. Villain only.
Villains
are
always have
henchmen.
henchmen.
Okay.
Sitting, they're on top of a building,
Right.
and let's say they're destroying the structure of the building so that it falls out. So you
Great. Okay. I got you. Yeah.
And
This is the bottom row now.
right. Well, you're just constructing the scene.
All right.
And then let's have then you have to obviously show the building falling, breaking up, and the hero falling in the trap.
Falling
Now, how is he
through.
going to get out of
Right.
it?
You telling me?
And then you then we can show the villain. This is all scratch gobbledygook, but it's
Really? I thought
it's shorthand
those were
for
finished
myself.
drawings.
Oh,
I see. I thought that was the finished artwork.
then what we could do is show the villain looking down at the scene and looking at the mess and smoke flying
Take
off.
that, you rat.
Yeah, and then the henchman setting up, ha ha ha, our villain. And then we can have show the villain. I mean, the hero actually come up behind him, come up behind the villain and capture him.
While the villain was gloating, the hero snuck up behind him.
Well, what the hero did was go through the whole building, come back up through the building behind him,
And you've got all that in your mind
Okay,
from
so-
these ridiculous sketches, right? Okay.
So this is actually just representation of what I'm seeing. What the basic bones logistics of the whole.
the bare
whole-
bones, right?
The bare bones
Okay.
of everything.
It's not the chase that I suggested,
No.
but it's a lot more interesting. Go.
Okay, now the next step, then at least for me, is where's the emphasis? Where do I want the exclamation points in the scenes?
That makes sense.
Now,
yeah. Because every panel can't have equal weight and equal importance.
right. If every shot was big and every shot was exciting, then it would get boring
It's
after
like
a
a
while.
singer singing nothing but high notes.
Right.
Wouldn't mean anything.
Right. You want to creep up on on the reader and surprise them
Right.
with not boring shots, but shots that are quote unquote quiet.
And then
Um,
suddenly, bang,
Right, a lot of ways you can do that. Okay, well, first let's pick emphasis. Obviously, this will be an emphasis shot. It's the last gloating, the hero wins. So that would be one. Let's make the challenge another emphasis.
Which just seems like two faces there now, but I have a
Right.
feeling when you're through with it,
Yeah, so there are different ways you can do that. You could do bigger shots and everything else real small. You could change the borders or everything. Okay, so let's do the establishing shot. You want a boring not a boring establishment, but you want
Quiet.
a quiet shot. So actually, this is a nice shot where we have
10 minutes is what we have. Now you're going to be able to finish this in 10 minutes. I don't mean to put you under this, but yes, I do. I do mean to put you under this pressure. I wish
that's
I
editorial
could
training.
make the people watching this really know and understand, and I promise you it's the truth. We have not rehearsed this. Wilts did not know what I was going to ask. Wilts has not done this. I'm catching him cold. Neither of us know how it's going to. Well, I know darn well it'll turn out good because I know how good you are. But he's really just making this up as he goes along, and I think that's what's really so fascinating about it. There's no way you'll have it finished in 10 minutes, but anyway, we'll see.
We'll give it the Marvel try.
Okay.
See what happens. Okay, so basically, want to establish the hero that he's on building. So
You can tell he's
set
a
up the
hero because
wall.
he's not snarling, right?
And then maybe silhouettes of New York City in the background.
Okay. That's a great silhouette. I know that building.
Maybe this could be the little elevator shaft. There's a door, you want to add in a lot of details. Okay,
Laundry
this is
on a
New York
clothesline?
laundry.
Yeah. That shirt looks like one of mine.
And then maybe for the villain, since you're going to be showing him in the next shot.
You don't show too much of him. He's
yeah,
smaller in the background.
Yeah, he could be just a silhouette.
Right. Very menacing and mysterious.
Yeah, with his hand out, his feet splayed. Maybe he could have a cape flying in.
Oh, naturally.
Everybody.
And when you draw a cape, you don't kid around. That's a great composition.
Okay, so it's a simple panel. Nothing too exciting is happening. But see that's what's happening here. Nothing too
Pretty
explosive
exciting.
is
I'm afraid
happening.
that thing's going to fall off the clothesline. But I know what you mean. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so then let's add in detail. Okay, we
And you
said
were
that
going
these
to make
two.
these points of emphasis. These are going to
Right.
be an exclamation point, right?
Now, what's been kind of the trend is, you know how like in movies, you have background music. Like Jaws coming up, dun 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 dun. Dun. We don't have music. We don't. We don't. No. We have sound effects. We have sound effects.
I've missed
But we
that.
don't have We don't have music. But we do have borders. Okay, so
you can get a lot of drama and a lot of effect with
so
your borders.
right. Okay, so we're having a shot where the villain is voicing out a challenge,
Right.
and that that's something not tragic, but it's something scary and exciting.
I'm scared. Yeah.
So if you want to break it up like this, then you can say like the borders, the panel borders are scared too. They're scared too. So
I never thought of it that way. The border is scared too. This border isn't as scared as this one, right? Okay,
Now,
we have
obviously
a scared border.
Obviously, he's wickedly smiling.
Yeah. All right, this is the villain issuing. Notice how beautifully he said that. Issuing the challenge within a scared border. And nobody watching this has ever heard that before.
One thing I like to do with close-ups, because this is technically a close-up. It's a close-up of a face. Is to take the prior panel and use that as for instance, you have cameras set up,
right?
And what I like to do is just take that same camera in the same position and just zoom in. So since this guy, so the camera is down here eye level, and he's up there, you zoom in, you kind of see an upshot. So you see his nostrils, if he's clean and
You know, it's
whitely or
been
not.
mentioned many times in the past, but what you do is so akin to what a movie director does, because basically you are directing the story. Keep drawing. You're determining the angles. You're determining what to emphasize, from what pose to show it, with close up, long shot, back view, front view. You are a movie director of your own script.
That's actually one of my goals.
To be a director?
And I see.
Not till you've done a few more strips for us, but I can
Oh
see
well,
that.
I'll just do superheroes. I'll do
Oh, great.
I'll do the X-Men. Okay, so the next shot is obviously him reacting, so him turning around. Now since you've established a villain, now we're looking at the hero from the villain's viewpoint.
Gotcha.
And since he's up there, he's looking down. That's also psychologically he's looking down on a character.
Exactly.
So
right.
he's kind of in he's at the disadvantage.
Well, I think it's obvious to everybody by now that a lot of thought goes into this, and we have 10 minutes to go. I don't want to make you nervous, but I hope you're getting nervous. And you notice this border is a nice straight border because the hero isn't yelling a challenge, right?
Right.
So it isn't an alarming border. I wondered why they called you Borders Potasio. Now I know.
So you by that you.
I will say this. One of the things that stands out about Wolf Portacio's art from all the others of the 90s Image guys is that Portacio definitely believes in strong borders.
Want contrast.
Exactly.
If everything was, you could make a case in point that he's obviously flustered because who's this guy shouting at me? But if his panel borders were erratic too, then it would nullify the
This one
impact.
wouldn't have stood out as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's turning around, and we can use little ciphers. He moves the so there's lines flowing back. Okay. So at that moment, now he's looking at the villain behind him. He doesn't see what's happening in front of him. So we have the line of the building, and then we have little henchmen with
and they're the villain's henchmen.
I don't know, power drills or something like that.
Or they could be electric saws. What are those saws that the villains always use in the movies?
Chainsaws?
Chainsaws, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh boy, they look like.
I was certainly a fan of Hollywood chainsaw hookers. Those were some fun ladies.
Villains henchmen. Even
Okay,
the way
so-
they're standing.
So
Right.
so since I've established that these two guys already are holding and then you show action lines, you show explosion. You show special effects. That's
Right,
actually one of the
right.
names of the games now. Now
And
since
it
I've
gives you a
showed two
little
people,
movement and
right?
action there.
Since I've already showed two of them, I can actually just draw heads or bits and pieces of it, and you get the idea that there's a lot of them back there. But you don't see every little thing happening. And then to emphasize that a little more, maybe even draw the good old Kirby action lines.
And when you put the dialogue balloons in, you have the room. You can cover that. You can cover that. You can cover that. Probably put his dialogue balloon over here or somewhere.
Okay, so
Go
then
ahead.
now
Now
we've
we've got about 7 minutes to go.
Now we want to show him falling through.
Uh-huh.
That's easy. You've already established that they're on a building. You already established that they're wrecking wrecking it. So something's happening to it.
And
So
nothing has happened yet, but you have the feeling of action and motion and things happening. Okay.
so now I can just show bits and pieces, and if these bits and pieces look like these bits and pieces,
You
then
tie it in your mind.
Right. You don't have to be flagrant with everything. Actually, that's kind of boring, where everything, is from the same shot. You see
Right.
everybody full.
Right.
You want to show action and emotion and so you show your hero.
You do your sound effects too. Huh?
So you show your hero falling, obviously not standing. Obviously,
Right,
obviously.
right.
And hello to Alpha Proto coming on in. RJ says, I could see him watching that movie, referring to Hollywood chainsaw hookers. Well, hello right there. Alpha Proto coming on in on this night, where let's give Alpha a little look at what we're doing. we've got Encrypted issue 2 right up and ready to go. It's been printed. It's been shipped to all those who pre-ordered or that have a subscription. Because yes, the fastest, most reliable way to get Encrypted is to get subscribe. You'll get a 1-year subscription, gets you 6 issues because we are dedicated to 6 issues a year. So there you go right there. Now they've got issue 2 out there and ready. You get a subscription. Your subscription starts with issue 2, but you can also go and there's still supplies that are there for issue 1, so you can go and get issue 1 separately. But yes, everybody, welcome Alpha Proto on in here. As here I am trying to earn your super chats and memberships.
Falling. And then if you want, you add in again a little more action lines. So he's falling, and then we want to do another panoramic shot, kind of. Actually, I got it. Because see, we're running out of space here, but see, we also wanted to emphasize the last shot.
Right.
So we'll do that this way. We'll actually stretch this out all the way to the bottom. So the show, actually, that's actually better because then you show that he's actually falling through a lot.
That's right.
So
it's a deeper
it seems
fall,
more of a
fall.
danger.
Right.
Oh, and another thing here is, see this close-up overlaps this because he's imposing on his space. He's saying the challenge.
I got it. I can see that.
Okay, so now let's do this shot where we have the villain with a huge grin on his face. You're looking at him from the back, and he's surveying the damage that he's wrought, and he's obviously happy with himself.
What hath Dr. Doom wrought? Except that's not Dr. Doom.
I love Dr. Doom.
I know, me too. But he's one happy villain at that point, isn't he?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so
I think you're going to make this. We've got maybe 5 minutes.
okay, so
4 minutes.
okay, again, now since we're establishing something again, we're establishing a status quo. The first status quo was that you got him up here, you got him over here, and they're all pretty much hunky-dory now.
Right.
Now everything's kind of messed up. So now, since you've already established little creatures, you don't have to show them all. You show them, like holding their little power drills, raising them up. Hoo, 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 hoo. They're having a great time because they've foiled the. So there's the big hole.
It's a great page design so far. Now we get the big one, the big exclamation.
Okay, now you're going, okay, wait a minute. Okay, this space is the same as this space. So how does this going to be emphasized?
By the border?
By the absence of a border.
The absence, there'll be an open panel, no border. My God, you're brilliant. Okay.
So
you're brilliant, and you got 3 minutes. Now you're going to prove you're brilliant.
Okay, so
hey, this is fun. We're turning this into a contest. I mean, this is exciting.
Okay, so we've established this, right? So let's add little bits and pieces of it in a little brick.
We're back again
detail. There. And show the the hero.
2.5 minutes. I don't want to make you nervous. 2 1/3 minutes. I've never seen anybody do anything like this so fast. And it looks so good. We must tell the people watching, this is not the finished drawing. These are the layouts, the rough layouts, right? Having done this, which you would do in pencil normally, you then go over it and tighten it up.
I actually have a lot more fun laying out.
Yeah,
because
I can see
I draw every day, so it becomes it doesn't become easy, but it's something, it's like a friend. It's there all the time. So it's not too exciting for me. I like creating the different moods with so essentially you draw the villain, what happened to my plans, and his arms flailing. What do you do?
I like flailing arms. I've always been into that.
And then you show bits and pieces of bricks and stuff falling off of him.
And we all notice there is no border on that panel, which emphasizes that panel.
Right.
You did that with time to spare. We have about another couple of minutes or so. That's sensational. Now, what you were talking about when you drew this, these little thoughts that go into your head, most of that is pretty subliminal when you do a page. I mean, you're not thinking about it that definitely,
No.
but it's just part of you. It's instinctive. I mean, you couldn't do it the wrong way because a little alarm would come off. Hey, wait a minute, I can't make this the same as this. But you don't have to say, I'm not going to make this the same as this. It's part of your training. It's part of your knowledge.
And
your
part of a
talent.
lot of that comes with just doing it every day. I mean, that's very important. Once you do something all the time, every day, it doesn't become, becomes natural. It becomes unconscious.
People have asked me, they say, well, don't these artists get stale? I mean, they're drawing the same strip every day, or maybe a different strip, but they're sitting every day drawing pictures. After a while, don't they not want to look at a picture anymore? How do you feel about that? I've been meaning to ask that.
Well, actually, it's true, and I think it's true for any profession. I actually go home and I work 10:30 to 5:30. And
10:30 in the morning to
5:30 after, and I come home and I'll either go out with friends, see movies. I'm very interested in movies. Play my guitar, sing and wake everybody up and make it rain.
When you say you come home, you don't work at home. You work in a studio somewhere?
Yeah, we actually have what the modern equivalent to the bullpen.
Really?
That you created. It's called Homage Studios, and in the studio,
is that in San Diego?
In San Diego. So we get a lot of sun, we get a lot of surf.
It's great.
But Jim Lee's in there, Scott Williams is in there, I'm in there. We have a fantastic painter, Joe Chido. He's in there. He's actually working on a Daredevil Black Widow piece, and other artists have been invited over, and other artists have expressed interest in coming in. So we'll be expanding our space.
Oh, that
and
sounds exciting.
It's just a great feeling.
It's fun.
Everybody's there, and you feel. One thing I always tell everybody is that, well, one thing that my teacher in high school told me: if you feel as an artist that you know everything, then I'm sorry, you're dead as an artist. And it's just great to have Jim there, Scott there. We have assistants there. Other people come in to visit. It's great because everybody approaches everything differently. Like this scene right here, we could emphasize this panel.
That's right.
And we could emphasize this, and it would be the same scene, but slightly different.
To me, that's what's so wonderful about artwork and about writing. No two people do it the same way. And that doesn't mean that the two different ways couldn't each be. Again, it's like a movie.
Right.
You have one director direct a story, and it'll be totally different than the way another director will direct the same story. They might both be good. You'll prefer this or that. And with artwork, it's the same way. And I think that's one of the exciting things about the comic book business. And, the way comics have become now, they become like movies in the sense that years ago, nobody knew who drew it. When I say years ago, I mean 50 years ago. Nobody knew who drew a strip or who wrote it. But now, I mean, there are Wills Portacio fan clubs. And, people know, as there are with the other artists and writers. And it's become a real art form with fans, with people who care. There'll be people who will love having seen this. And I hope they'll love it as much as I loved having you here today, Wills. I cannot tell you what a pleasure this has been. And I think you've made it abundantly clear why you were invited to the Comic Book Greats. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thanks. And I can't wait to get that thing home and get it framed. I'm running out of wall space, but I'll find a place to do it. Hey, you did it.
Let's find another one of these to look at. Should we? Let's try this one. Yes.
Eyebrows and hands. And
then you gain the confidence. You say, "Hey, I can still draw."
Yeah, you warm up and you prime the pump. That's what they say. And that way, when you get down to the finished piece, you're not stiff. The characters have a little more life to them, the drawings.
I wanted to ask you that. Do you find the drawing there's a rhythm to it, and sometimes you just feel the rhythm. of
Definitely,
getting that
definitely. I
artwork.
think the most successful comic book artwork displays rhythm, because a lot of new kids, when they're starting out or whatever, there's a lot of stiffness in their drawings, and it's because they don't have the ability to do gesture drawings yet. And a gesture drawing is simply just trying to capture.
You better use that dark one, because that doesn't show to the camera. I think.
Oh well, this is what I would want the kids to do is just something real quick like this, which is it's a gesture. It's a movement. It's very abstract. Okay, and then I would use that gesture in my final drawing, trying to capture that movement in that figure. And the way I approach it is I look at their chest, and their chest cavity has a certain shape. That's the socket for the shoulder there, and then their pelvis has a certain shape like that, and so the leg sticks into that slot, right?
You know, it's fascinating, because when you first look at this, I have no idea what I'm looking at. And then after you join and connect a few lines.
And we've got Spider Fan. Yes, thank goodness, no more correct, yes. And Spider Fan says, in the light of the cover you are doing tonight, do you think OJ did it? Yes. A simple yes.
I can see the figure.
Well, that's the thing. It's not a mysterious process. It's just a bunch of lines in relationship to one another, creating the illusion of an object.
Wow.
And so,
but when you drew this, you knew what this was, and in your mind, you knew this was.
Yeah, when I drew the pencil line that served as sort of the guide for what I'm doing now. Yeah, that I knew it was a guy throwing something or punching something or maybe flying. I don't know. It's one of those. It's one of those things like.
Jim, that's terrific.
Right, and then you put the head in here. Okay, so I put the other arm down here. Okay, and then we'll blacken in this forearm here to create a little depth, so it's going back there, and maybe cast a little shadow here. All right, so you got the guy. Put a couple ribs here, tricep, elbow, whatever.
Do you know the names of all the muscles and so forth?
No, actually, I don't. I'm not that good with the actual anatomy like that. I was never. It's like reading the dictionary, looking at those anatomy books, because they just show the muscles in a natural, unflexed state. They're very stiff. You can learn how to do that, but when figures move, you don't see all those muscles like that. They change shapes and dimensions. So I was much more into an artist named George Bridgman, and his stuff dealt more with the shapes of body parts and how they interacted and how their interactions created movement within the character. So like this guy,
like for instance,
all right, like for instance,
I'm going to keep you
all right. Okay,
sorry.
Like for instance, an arm. I can think of like actually I do know some of the names, but you got the. Well, I don't know what that is. I forgot. I've drawn a blank.
Here's
the bicep. Here's the tricep. Yeah. I think this is the deltoid. Is that right? I don't know. Then you got the forearm muscles here, and I've separated everything. And these are the shapes. And if you had to do one of those like computer design grids or something, you can sort of see what the shape. This is more like the biceps, more like a football, and this is more of like a sort of a triangular piece here.
And at some point, you're going to draw lines, and it'll come together, and it's really going to look like something.
Yeah, they're like sausages, and you stick them all together like that. So, boom. That would be.
So when you're drawing this, are you thinking this?
Oh, all the time. I think I see, even though I don't have these grid lines, I see this shape as having a volume like that, and this having a volume like that. And it's very easy that way. Once you know the shapes and volumes, you can put them all together, and you can do the complex foreshortening. Because, for example, if you had like a saucer, and then you had a, I don't know, round shape like this, and maybe like a cone shape like this, and a triangular thing like that. If you kind of stack these on top of each other and do an upshot of that, you can draw an upshot of anything. I mean, a human figure, because basically the human figure is a series of different shapes like these put together. So let's put these all together and we'll do an upshot. So we'll see mostly the saucer from the bottom. We'll see a little bit of this, I'll draw through here for everybody. And then we'll put that cone up there and then the triangle on top. Create a little depth like that, right? So now if you can do that, you can do like a human face in perspective.
I could do the Mona Lisa once I get that.
It's you find that break it down to the simple shapes like the cylinder for the head and the neck and whatever. And
now you're looking up at that face. This is under the chin, right?
Right. Kind of
just want to impress everyone. What a wizard.
And to answer Spider-Fan's question, I didn't know about these tapes at all until I was in middle school. It was the very early days of YouTube. and I found all these tapes because I was looking up anything about the 90s image artists. And that, if you remember those early days of YouTube, Rob Liefeld had a vlog. He had his own channel where he would just do like 1 to 2 minute uploads in the middle of doing that Onslaught Reborn miniseries, I remember. And then already several people had uploaded these comic book greats videos.
I am in perspective.
All right, so you got that going. Give him some hair. Right, and to me, I see the triangular shape of this nose and the structure of the cheekbones like that, and the cylinder shape of the whole head, and how the ears stick out here, and the cylinder shape of the neck. Right, so if you can do something like this, I think it's a little more complex, but it's the same kind of ideas, and that way I can draw a head looking down on it, you know, because you have the nose just stick out like that. I can do it from the side, any angle I choose, and so in a sense, in my head, I've constructed the image, and then I can move my eye around the image and then draw it. Like if I have a side shot of a car, usually I can draw from any angle just by kind of extrapolating what the rest of the car looks like. So
it looks to me as if you can draw something and you could start at any point. I mean, if you want to draw a figure, you could probably start with the big toe and work your way up.
Yeah, probably.
Or with the ear and work your way down.
What I wouldn't recommend doing that without first putting
that little rough.
That rough, because that way, if you start with the toe down here and you draw, you might find that the head goes off the page, and that's a common thing with kids. They start drawing and without thinking about the space they're drawing in and whether the drawing is going to fit on that page or not.
Well, let's talk comic books.
Right.
Let's do the shape of a panel, and let's see, how would you handle, you're going to do a panel.
Right.
Okay?
Let's say this is the panel.
All right, this whole thing is the panel.
Right. And a panel, it's one of those pictures that you see in a comic
All right,
book.
now you want to draw, let's make something up.
Okay,
right
go
now.
ahead. Shoot.
You want to draw, and this has not been rehearsed. In fact, I hope I can think of something that you want to draw. So you want to draw a superhero
Right.
who is chasing a supervillain,
Right.
and the supervillain is holding the superhero's girlfriend hostage. He's captured her.
Right.
He's trying to escape. The hero is trying to get him.
Right.
And the
This
villain
is from Spider-Man 129.
It very well might
I
be.
think you did this.
And the villain, wait a minute, it's not that easy. The villain is just about to jump out of the window with the girl because the villain can fly, and the hero has to get to him before he gets out of the
so
window.
we're doing it from the outside of the building. All right. Well, that's
No, it could be from the inside.
From the inside. Okay.
That's
Whoa,
up to
boy.
you.
Okay. All right. Well, I think.
And further to answer the question, I never went to drawing classes or anything like that at all. It's all entirely on my own to get from completely starting out to now having Encrypted right here. Yes, this work you see before you. These first 2 issues that we've got up and out and done and published and everything is all through my own 2 hands. Now that we've got all of the 6 issues we are scheduled to publish this year, we've already got them up, all done. But now, yes, soon we're gonna by the end of this year, we'll show everybody that yes, I actually am out there getting a series done. And yes, yo, and hello. Let's once again show that we've got my comic right here, 2 issues completed, with the commitment to doing 12 of these over the next 2 years. And also, we will be, besides getting these, and at the very least 12 issues completed and published and all that, that's why we're offering subscriptions. In the store, yes, of course, there's those, you can just get those copies regular, or you can go and get them autographed for $10, or you can get them autographed and sketched in for $20. Or remember, you can get a 1-year subscription to the comic, and a 1-year subscription, or you can get a 1-year subscription with your copies autographed. But yes, hello to you out there, Puma. As we've got this stripping to take care of.
The first is I visualize a setting. Let's just say an office or something like that.
Okay.
Right. Now you can't see this, but
yes, this is Joe. This is Joe Esterhaus's version of the X-Files.
let's see.
You got to use that light pencil that the camera can't see.
Right.
Okay.
Well, otherwise you're just gonna have all these lines. You're not gonna be able to tell
Okay.
when I come in with the marker and stuff. All right, I'm going to do something
Everybody
very
be patient. He'll be there with the marker. Any
right.
minute.
I'm going to do something very clear, which is a straight-on perspective shot.
Uh-huh.
And
I mean, looking right at it. You're
right,
not up
right
there
on,
and you're
right,
not down
right.
here. Okay.
Well, the vanishing point, I don't get too technical, but the vanishing points are like this, and we're looking straight on this wall. The wall's not at an angle to us. All right, so let's say we put the hero here. We put him in the foreground like this, and to create a depth within the character. We have him in the foreground. We're going to have maybe some furniture or something in the middle ground, and then we'll have the villain about to jump out the window there.
And yes, Spider fan, I do still do commissions. Commissions are available in the store. You'll see the different categories that have different commissions for pen and ink or color or even posters. They're still available in their store, and also blank cover sketches and all that.
The background there, and actually even in the extreme background, we might even put some more skyscrapers. Actually, to establish the fact that they're in a city, we'll just put another window here, and we'll put a bunch of buildings.
Gotcha.
Right. So we got him over here, and is the damsel in distress. Although it could be a guy in distress, and this could be a superheroine. We don't
That's
want
right. They can be anything.
In today's world.
But you'd better do it the way I told
Right,
you.
right, because
Okay.
I never want to deviate from the writer's script there. Okay, so I've got that. This is it. Now
You've made your rough layout, and you know now where everything goes, and nothing will go off the page or off
absolutely.
the panel.
From this point on, I can relax now because all the work has been
The
done.
thinking has been
Right,
done.
right,
And you don't like to think, so that's over.
right. So let's say start over
I
here.
didn't mean that. Now we get the black pencil, and everybody can see. This
All
will
right.
be fun. Go
Okay,
ahead.
let's see. Well, we don't have. Okay, I'll start with the ear. A lot of times I'll start with.
Yeah, you've
parts
always
of the
been
face.
big at ears. They
Yeah.
talk about that in the bullpen. All right.
All right, and that's the muscle of his neck there, and then okay.
This is the hero you're doing, who's in
Right.
the foreground.
Right.
Well, Puma, that's mainly on a matter of working on a comic day in, day out, months on end, getting an issue completed one after the other a month. Yes, things are going to go and improve. That's why, as great as it is to be having a new set of these Copic multiliner SPs again, the fact that they discontinued the replaceable nibs for them is a kick in the balls. So now I got to handle these like they're the Dead Sea Scrolls so that the nibs don't burn out, or else then it's probably going to be some really expensive, like secondhand market on eBay to get the replacement nibs. But yes, since right now, when it comes to actually drawn and printed and published, I've now officially tied with Cyberfrog when it comes to, those internet personalities that are supposed to be making comics. Well, and of course, as I already said, we actually have issues completed. So that means that within a couple of months, once early May starts out, then issue 3 will be printed and shipped out to everybody that pre-orders or that is a subscriber to the comic. So that means I'll already have passed, crap like Jawbreakers or Cyberfrog. And then by the end of the year with issue 6, I'll be just routing the hell out of them, like when Nebraska beat the shit out of University of Florida in the national title game in '96. Remember that? That was 62-24. That one. And that was Florida coming off of having won the national title earlier that decade, like very relatively recently for them. And also Florida didn't have any psycho criminal like Nebraska did, where Nebraska had that player who still got to dress for the game, dragging his girlfriend by her hair down the stairs of his apartment. I don't know if you remember, if anybody else remembers that. I can't remember the player's name, but I remember seeing that. Yeah. That type of lunatic. As far as I know, Nebraska football doesn't recruit those types anymore. So, I mean, that's good. Of course, now there are another team that joined the Big Ten that now can't win shit, but there you go. But then again, if there can be a new Wayans Brothers helmed scary movie coming out, maybe then there'll be Nebraska winning big titles. Yes, well, I think I also mentioned a lot of help has come from consistently also observing the work of Mark Silvestri, Jim Ballant, and Howard Chaykin. And also Joe Quesada, but mostly for how Joe Quesada brings the Art Nouveau style of framing and design to pages. Yes, Spider-Fan, Lawrence Phillips. That was the name. He was the running back. I couldn't remember his name or his position, but yeah, he was the running back for that Nebraska team. You know, the girl he dragged by her hair was the girlfriend of Scott Frost, who was the quarterback and is now the head coach for UCF. Yes, UCF, the alma mater of Daniel Tosh and the directors of the Blair Witch Project. When I lived in Orlando, I was driving distance from the UCF campus, and I remember my father would like go there to like, he would go there, he'd be on campus or whatever, and he found that out about, UCF being the alma mater of Daniel Tosh, and yes, Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez are the names of the Blair Witch directors, if you're familiar with that movie. Of course, around here, we are very familiar with the Blair Witch Project. And you know how I was only a half-hour drive away from Burkittsville, Maryland, where the movie took place. Yeah, right down there. Getting all this done well. Although one thing between like the difference between what I'm doing with women and what you see women doing with, say, Howard Chaykin, I mentioned, is that Howard Chaykin can be very, very explicit. It's very much like, especially after that vampire comic he did, Black Kiss, he very much went towards the like hustler route. And as you see here, I'm more towards the Playboy route. Yes, Howard Chaykin is hustler, and I'm more in Playboy, like say Jim Ballant, if you look at the work he's been self-publishing since he quit doing Catwoman at DC, which is a Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, which is sort of a comic that's all about Wicca and all about trying to do a story that is teaching you about Wicca, sort of like all the magical occultism stuff that Alan Moore was, talking about in Promethea, but without the rape. Jim Ballant just likes having, attractive naked women in his comics. He doesn't like them being beaten and raped and murdered, graphically like Alan Moore does with, From Hell, or what he put into Promethea even. And apparently you're back in Orlando. I perfectly understand, especially with the weather. As I've said before, this time of year when it comes to Orlando, it's the winter, but you wind up getting greasy from the humidity and then also soaking wet from the rain. So you're both greasy and you're also soaking wet. And apparently Maury Povich went to UCF too. Well, that I didn't know. And no, I am not the father. I wouldn't mind being the father of Connie Chung's baby, but no, I cannot say that. And I hate it here, wasn't that? Well, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Warren Ellis. And in certain comics, yes, but in particular, one I really don't like is Transmetropolitan. Like I was saying earlier this week about how there are certain comic book writers that I do like, even if they do write stuff I don't like. And one of them is Garth Ennis, mostly on account of how Garth Ennis is the least pretentious out of the major UK-based comic book writers that you've been told to like. And then the other extreme I was saying about those pretentious types is, Warren Ellis is most especially the guy to whom it lives by trying to go and think, well, what would Alan Moore do as being as didactic and condescending and self-important and pretentious, and every character has to be some extension of himself, or everything has to star a version of himself. And Spider-Fan says, I remember Maury got picked up to be the representative of UCF for College Game Day over Daniel Tosh, which caused a bit of controversy from UCF fans. And if you think it's a matter of, oh, well, then again, remember, Spider-Fan, why would ESPN do that? Because as much as Daniel Tosh actually, was really popular and successful with Tosh.0, remember, ESPN College Game Day. And what did ESPN try to do once? Well, remember, they did try to do a blatant plagiarism of his Web Redemption segment that Tosh was known for on Tosh.0. Yeah, remember there was the Web Redemption, and then Daniel Tosh famously called them out and ridiculed them in a whole skit about plagiarizing that for a thing they tried to do called Awesome Video Segment of a guy who was trying to sing "Oh Canada" at a hockey game while skating, but then he tripped. And they tracked that guy down and had him do an interview, and then they had him redo the bit all over again, where then he's able to go and perform "Oh Canada" while skating, and he's able to not trip over a carpet. And Daniel Tosh ridiculed them all and said, I know that Talk Soup and America's Funniest Home Videos have genuine gripes against me over the premise of Tosh.0 and all that. But then he also went on and mentioned, I don't mind if like high school or college kids plagiarize me, but when you're a professional TV network, have some goddamn self-respect. And he did a whole bit ripping off their show Sports Science, calling it Sports Science 0.0, and talking about how their college football coverage is 30% Manziel gossip, 60% jerking off the SEC, and 10% other. And that's mostly dedicated to when they fine one of their own on-air personalities for having the audacity to defend women. And then he mentions that ESPN loves killing kids. Science. And Puma Fist, I remember seeing a Grindhouse when it first came out in the theater. I saw it in the theater. And yes, I did like the first half. The second half, if it doesn't involve the car chase or if it doesn't involve Kurt Russell, yes, it's really boring. And yeah, proving Tarantino is a hack, mainly. The big deal of something I say about Joss Whedon that I also say about Tarantino is that another thing I don't like I was mentioning earlier about Warren Ellis, are the type of writers. It doesn't matter if it's screenwriting, if it's comic books, TV, cartoons, whatever. If there is no sense of character voice, where it's just everybody is the writer just talking as themselves through the characters, and there's no way to tell them apart at all. Like with Buffy, like with, every Tarantino film or anything else, a writer like Whedon, or almost like 9 times out of 10 with Warren Ellis. You get that sort of situation where everybody's just the writer talking as himself, or talking as a revenge fantasy against somebody that was, mean to them in high school. That sort of crap. Like that guy I mentioned, the lack of character voice, where if you went and just looked at the script and you crossed out the character names, would you be able to tell apart one character from the next? And the other end of that I bring up is, if you watch something like, say, the Beverly Hillbillies, and you went and just looked at the story, each episode, whatever, in its raw form, you can easily tell apart Granny from Mr. Drysdale, and Jethro from Ellie Mae, and Jed from Granny, and everyone else in the cast, which is more than you could ever be able to say for Buffy or any other of the shows out there in the world of Joss Whedon. And how, Joss Whedon irreparably, he ruined a whole generation of writers and journalists that are the same type of smug, soy-based, but they want to be, they don't understand the difference between tone and how to change a tone or whatever, so they'll go and be so ironically detached and smug and self-aware, and then suddenly they think they can just immediately drop the hammer into being so dour and so sad at the same time. No. Just because Joss Whedon had no understanding of character voice and everything is just writing, just ranting about himself, and expecting us all to go along with his verbal diarrhea of smug, ironic detachment and self-aware pop culture smugness, and then suddenly you try to go and shoehorn some sort of drama into it. No. Or as Pumafist says, verbal masturbation. Yes, Tarantino being a different version of a writer like a Warren Ellis or a Joss Whedon, but because Tarantino, he likes heterosexuality in his material, and he portrays people, places, and things that don't fit along with what the didactic Bolshevik types of a Polygon or New York Times like to hear. That's why they'll go and they'll criticize him for the most disingenuous douche canoe reasons, like with, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and ranting about how, it's so sexist. This is supposed to be the story of Sharon Tate and makes it a story about men. No, it's a movie about late 60s Hollywood, starring these fictional characters that has Sharon Tate on, the B side. She's an alternate story. It's literally giving you the Hollywood ending to the story of its fictional characters, as well as to the Hollywood ending to a real-life Hollywood tragedy like with Sharon Tate, where, the Manson family show up to the wrong house. Instead of to Sharon Tate's house, they show up to psycho war veteran murderer Brad Pitt, who winds up slaughtering them alongside the buddy to whom he's a stuntman for, Leo DiCaprio. And that literally they pull out the fucking blowtorch on those Manson kids. Yeah. Yes, Warren Ellis is also the king of edgelords. Shock value for the sake of shock value, which the reason when you see those same type of Rich Johnston or Lankara types bitch and moan about Warren Ellis and saying Warren Ellis is just an edgelord who just wants to be shocking. No, it's the fact that Garth Ennis can be shocking or twisted or whatever in his work, whether it's Crossed or the Max, the Max Comics version of the Punisher. But the fact that it's done in a way that is politically incorrect and done in a way that you out there, you soy tards, do not like. Hence why you get those people like that comic tropes guy or all the other TDS suffering shit for brains in journalism that pretend that The Boys is better as a show than the comic book it's based on, mainly on the back of how, because The Boys has source material, there's things in the source material that disagree with that soy-based bullshit. The fact that you've got a writer like Garth Ennis who can do stories that most definitely are politically incorrect, but no, they're politically incorrect in the way that the lefties don't like. The lefties and their idea of political incorrectness is, murdering the chuds. Like that one clip I showed you of the Freedom Tunes. Yeah, Freedom Tunes to the channel, who did a whole video all about a tranny cartoonist trying to pitch a comic strip, and it's all just the tranny obviously doing a self-instant revenge fantasy where the tranny goes and murders everybody that ever misgenders him. And the editor keeps explaining that's not really a joke so much as you wanting to murder people. You being a genie that murders a bunch of women who misgender you, and then the genie says that the genie loves cat boys, that's not really a joke so much as you having an internet porn addiction and the desire to murder people. In case you wonder why the Rich Johnston types, they'll go and talk your ear off about Garth Ennis's work with Preacher, because Preacher goes and shits all over the whole he shits all over religion and Christians when it comes to portraying religion as stupid, and all of his interviews and comments about what motivated creating Preacher in the first place. Oh, they'll love that shit. But then when you show them the certain storylines from the Max era of the Punisher, where it's all about the Punisher hunting down and murdering child traffickers, the slaver storyline, basically, they treat it as if it's like the comic book equivalent of Sound of Freedom. So they'll just keep screaming QAnon, QAnon, QAnon again and again and again, because they're fucking insane and deranged. And who says that they're not just a bunch of perverted, shrieking ideologues? Just saying. Actually, Spider-Fan says, Garth Ennis, I meant. Yes. Got the Ellis comic writers confused. Well, okay, so Spider-Fan was saying about Garth Ennis as the king of edgelords. And also the fact that when you look at Garth Ennis's interest in writing, as much as people want to go on and only ever talk about, oh, he hates superheroes because of The Boys, or, oh, he hates religion because of Preacher, then they'll go and ignore how many other comics he has written since then that emphasize the military and emphasize military history because of his honest-to-God interest in military history, like one of those miniseries he did of the Punisher after he stopped doing the Max monthly title, which was the Punisher and a bunch of his fellow soldiers in Vietnam, all reflecting on their experience fighting alongside Frank Castle. And also other books that Ennis has done, like Sarah, which was all about this Soviet squad of female snipers. And including another thing he did for the Punisher Max line was a story that Ennis wrote with Howard Chaykin writing, which gets reprinted it's in one of those Marvel Vault hardcovers that they've done, that includes a bunch of early work that Howard Chaykin did before his name really took off with doing American Flag. And then also they reprint a more recent Max story he did with Garth Ennis because, well, that's the difference. It doesn't matter what it is that Warren Ellis is writing. Warren Ellis is very much based on himself and writing about and ranting and raving about whatever it is he's doing, like that stupid comic he did, Injection, which was just like it reads, for a guy who's supposed to be such a major A-list talented writer, why does it read like it's no different from some didactic, self-important Brit-bong Bolshevik millennial who has 17 different gender identities but no personality, writing what they think would make a good Netflix pitch, where we go out of our way to have, dudes in drag doing anal sex, or we have, we have Muslim women, of course, Muslim women that are here in London illegally. Of course, the thing that's going to be on their mind is them ranting about how they're never going to let a woman play Doctor Who. Yeah, that's, And Pumafis says that Garth Ennis just got off on deconstruction of iconic characters without making them better, trying to elevate them. There actually is something I would show that would refute that. You can go and take a look at, in the early 90s, what he did. He was simultaneously writing for Vertigo and writing for DC. At the same time he was writing John Constantine Hellblazer, he also was writing a new series for Etrigan the Demon. And the big thing people remember from Etrigan the Demon was that that was where he came up with his first real, badass military hero Hitman. Yeah, part of that Bloodlines crossover event that DC did, I believe in '93, which was when Ennis was writing the Demon. At the same time, he also was writing Hellblazer. There was the Bloodlines crossover where he came up with the character of Tommy Monahan. And then they spun off Tommy Monahan into Hitman that ran for 60 issues. And if you remember, Tommy Monahan was a Gulf War veteran who, because of the big event that happened with the Bloodline storyline, he wound up getting X-ray vision and other powers that he wound up augmenting his experience and his skills as a military marksman. So he wound up using that to get back to the Irish neighborhood of Gotham City and found himself in a world of becoming a contract killer, where he went out of his way to go and look after those dangerous, more super-powered or paranormal type of hitman jobs that other people, it was too dangerous for them to tread. And there were mainstream DC characters in there, but those characters, including, of course, multiple appearances by Batman, because remember, Hitman was taking place in the Irish neighborhood of Gotham City. You also had the Green Lantern of the Golden Age, Alan Ladd, back when he was portrayed as a character and not a one-note gay joke, where the same type of one-note gay caricature of a character you would see in an old 80s teen comedy would make those same type of didactic Tumblr twits cry in fear and pain. But if you take those same jokes and then portray them in the way they gay-washed Iceman, or they gay-washed Tim Drake, or the Alan Scott Green Lantern, somehow it's perfectly okay, and somehow it's great, beautiful representation. No, it's just bullshit where it is all fitting into the politically correct dogma you demand. It's not a matter of you hate stereotypes. No, it's you want stereotypes portrayed in the way you like them. You entitled little fuck nugget. But every single time that you had Batman or Superman or the Alan Scott Green Lantern or any other established mainstream DC character show up in Hitman, Garth Ennis always wrote them with a level of respect and a positive portrayal. In spite of how everybody wants to go and overemphasize how much he hates superheroes by only ever wanting to talk about The Boys and or that 1-2 issue story arc of the monthly Marvel Knights Punisher series he did, or the last story arc he did for the Marvel Knights Punisher, where he refers to Wolverine, Daredevil, and Spider-Man as the Confederacy of Dunces, which even then he doesn't refer to them in the story. It's just what the storyline is called. But yes, Ennis just making fun of stuff. But remember, the idea with Ennis is his real interest and his real passion lies either in paranormal work or in military work. So, and that's why with Hitman, you had an example that's right up there with the James Robinson version of Starman from the 90s, where you got a character that feels like a Vertigo comic that got into the mainstream DC universe, with a more emphasis on more mature type of character-driven storytelling that's also much more, dark tone-wise, and that has characters doing things that are portrayed in a much more serious manner, that are much more morally questionable, as opposed to the modern Marvel or DC bullshit, where you can have characters be sociopathic extremists and separatists and all that, but because, they're women or they are gay or they are black, you're supposed to celebrate them, like, Ta-Nehisi Coates' writing of Black Panther, what have you. No, the type of mature readers in the way that what Vertigo of the early 90s was supposed to be. And Spider-Fan, I would recommend Tarot. Jim Ballant has been self-publishing Tarot since the year 2000, and he has his own website, a website called Broadsword Comics, where there have been like individual issues with different variant covers are available, as well as trade paperbacks of them. And yeah, you can really go to town. And there's a lot of naked ladies in them. Yes, there's a lot of naked magical ladies in them because, well, somebody that nobody from either there are friends over there at I mentioned about the people over there at Friday Night Tights who always want to talk and rant their heads off about how Hollywood is so evil and Star Wars is dead, but never want to go and like seek out and platform or promote independent work that will and promote it in a way with that massive, 10,000 on average platform they have of 10,000 people watching on average live when they do a Friday Night Tight stream. Would they want to go and use that massive platform they've built up to go and really, here's this, up and coming talent doing this comic independently? But no, they don't. They don't want to build that up. And hey, why not? Even what if it's somebody that is, mainstream, that was working in the mainstream, that's not been working independently, and has not been some edgelord dipshit, e-drama farmer like EVS, or that is that somebody that basically is just one phone call away from going right back to working for DC, like what Jeff Johns was doing with that stuff he was doing for Substack, those comics he was publishing through his Substack. So yeah, Jim Ballant's Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose. If you want to see a comic that would most definitely be getting on the anger, on the rage side of Kelly Sue DeConnick, check it out. You'll love it only for that. And yes, a Spider fan, the fandom menace isn't interested in changing the industry. They just get interested in grifting, shameful, really. Well, bitching and moaning about it, or, I think I mentioned this before, Austin Woods, especially when I brought it up about, EFAP, where, my God, you have all this time and energy to go and rant about, for 12 hours about a new episode of some shitty streaming series. How about you literally do anything else? And with this time, instead of continuing to bitch about Starfleet Academy, why don't you go and track down someone online who's got some Kickstarter for like a science fiction tabletop series that's Star Trek inspired, or maybe a novel or a comic book series that is Star Trek inspired in some way or another. And make it a matter of instead of griping over this or shitting all over this, how about we go and here's something that's worth your time? Nope, that's not what they want to do. But then again, also the people there, Mauler and friends over there with EFAP, really come off like people that are just wanting to they have the most basic bitch understanding of pop culture and just want to bitch and moan without ever, okay, what's your solution? You only ever want to cry, Star Wars is dead, but do you have anything else to say beyond that? And this, good to see you, brother. Have a good night. All right, there. That's probably also why, I think Doug TenNapel was somebody that definitely really was bound to eventually get on the bad side of that whole CG movement because of account of, well, here he was not only making them all look bad by focusing on his work and getting his comics done consistently and shipping them in the time he said he would, and also the fact that, well, he actually meant what he said and said what he meant about what he was doing comic book wise. and and getting that business and that turnaround like that. And well, if he was interested in just whatever there was to be said or done on the internet and just talking to a webcam, all right, well then, hey, instead of wanting to go and drag you along and having you wait years on end for a comic, why don't I just go and just focus on doing internet content? And that's what he's been doing with his channel, especially now that his original YouTube channel, he got it back after it got shut down because he was reporting the facts about the Democrat interference in the 2020 election. That's a little bit right here.
He's got a big manly chin.
Oh,
here.
is he ever? Yeah.
And maybe we'll put like some lines. That's the shorthand for like I'm.
He's tense and
He's
excited.
tense. He's worried. Whatever. Okay, we'll give him some hair here.
If it were an idea, there'd be a light bulb over his head.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll give him some hair.
It's funny, even with that short sketch, he looks powerful and somewhat handsome.
I give him
even as rough as it is.
I give him a real thick neck and pretty much
Yeah.
the I guess Roman features, which is sort of a bigger brow,
Yeah.
a jutting chin.
Well, you're lucky I'm sitting here, so you have sort of a model.
Oh, there you go. Right.
Okay.
Okay, and then we got the shoulder here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, tricep. I think that's what it
You're
is.
good at elbows too. I've been noticing that. You make it look so easy. That's the thing that really is amazing.
Actually, it comes with practice. I've drawn this a lot. I mean, hundreds of times. I
Not
guess.
this one picture.
No, but this kind of angle.
I know.
Every time I do a new shot, it takes a little more time. But generally, after the amount of work we do is very labor intensive. So after a while, you find that you've just drawn everything.
Yeah, there's probably very little that I could suggest that you haven't drawn in some form or other, right?
Yeah, I've done a lot of different kinds of story. I've done aliens and outer space and
Yeah.
inner city and ghettos and all that stuff. And we'll give him a cape.
Okay. Well, he's a superhero.
He's getting close to looking like someone.
I know.
But, we'll give him a glove. There we go. All right.
All right.
And then
Now
maybe
he's not Superman anymore,
Right,
right?
and-
Now you can mention it, as long as it isn't him.
right, and then we'll put like a diamond thing that's just a design element or something
Uh-huh.
like that, and then maybe a little rendering here. Okay. Then we'll put some back muscles in here, and then maybe a belt, and maybe the leg like that.
I've always been good at drawing belts because apparently it's just two lines.
That's right. But what I see with that is there's a cylinder here. There's like
Uh-huh.
a disc.
Like you were talking
Boom.
before,
Right,
everything is
right,
a basic shape,
right.
right?
And I've all these muscles here, all these muscles here have
Of which you
round
don't
shape.
know the names of.
No, well, the arm ones are pretty simple. Those are the ones that
Well, when
hurt
you said
and
tibia
pee.
earlier, that really
Tibia?
impressed me. Well,
Did
you
I?
said something like that, tricep or something.
Tricep,
You
right?
can see what an expert
Right,
I am.
but like the back muscles, I have no idea what they do. But I'm not one of these guys that's a real stickler that you have to put every muscle in there. I think the most important thing is the shape of the form, the shape of an arm, the shape of these various things, and how they interact with one another. Okay, so now we got him here, and actually maybe we'll put his hand here, right?
Could you do me a
That's
favor?
pretty-
Could you give him a little beard, even though he's a hero?
Well, maybe
Just
some-
so that in no way does he look like any character that we may be familiar with.
Right. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. We'll put a little stubble here.
Attaboy.
There we go. Stubble's in these days anyway. All right.
That's great.
Okay.
Now he looks villainous, but that's okay because today's heroes, many of them are rugged and
That's the
they
ambiguous
don't look
hero.
all that hero.
And I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
We'll get the bigger marker and we'll we'll give him a superpower. He can energize his fist. I don't know with what, but and we'll put here these. I call these Kirby crackles. I think you guys started. It creates the illusion or aura of energy.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
And you can just go on for these forever. I mean, there are people that just will spend hours on this. But since we don't have hours, that's the shorthand here. And to make it seem like there is some movement where he's coming forward, I'm going to have this sort of trail back. See?
Oh, so you know the hand had come from
right. There's ways if there was a guy here and he had walked through the room and he's smoking a cigarette, I'll show that smoke waft through back, and so you can tell that story. You can show that he moved through the room without actually drawing.
It's interesting, Jim, the way you referred to this as shorthand, and this is shorthand. And in comic books, there are so many shorthand things that you do, these little dots and lines and speed lines that can tell a whole story without having to explain it.
Right.
I just felt I had to contribute something.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you distill it, all it is ciphers. Because there's no way you can replicate reality here, nor would you want to. Anyway, all right, now we got I'll jump to the villain because since I've already mapped in the background, I don't have to worry that it's going to work or not.
It'll fit.
I know it's going to work. I think. So okay, we'll give the evil guy a villain, a cape too. That way, I don't have to draw as much of him. And,
that's right, because the cape hides a lot of the body.
You got it.
Smart.
Right, and you know what? I think I'll even have the cape. Not that I would recommend kids to do this, right? But make it move like that.
And from this comes 8.2 million sales, right?
Well, there are a lot of people that helped.
And yes, Jim Lee dressed like a little Korean Spike Lee from Nike commercials. Yeah, I can see that.
Chris Claremont, the writer, and the whole Marvel marketing machine. Marvel's very successful in the comics marketplace. They know what they're doing.
You get your payoff later.
Right.
Now, this is the villain who's got the girl.
Right. And you know what? We're going to give him a lot of armor.
Because he is one powerful villain.
Right, gauntlet. And we'll give him a couple spikes here to give the impression, a little fearsome aspect here. All right. And then, I could cheat here and just give him a big bubble for a head or something. But
no, you're not going to do
that.
Okay,
right.
Not with millions of people watching this tape.
Okay. Since it's a smaller drawing, I'll go to a finer pen here to do the detail on this guy's face here. But let's do that. And because we're in the 90s and it's a little hipper, we'll give him a ponytail. And what I really think makes for successful comics is pushing things to the extreme, like taking it over the top, taking things to the logical extreme. If there's a villain, he's got a ponytail. That hair should be blown in the wind, and it should be longer than humanly possible or sanitarily possible. So we give the guy
cosmetically possible.
Right. And then we'll give him this evil grimace.
I hope the camera can catch that. I hope that's dark enough because that's really coming along beautifully.
Okay.
Now, in comics, when you draw, even though the books are in color, you draw in black and white, right? All our artists work in black and white, and then the coloring is done later by someone else, usually by someone else.
And because he's a villain, we'll give him a mask or something like that.
Villains really very often have masks, don't they? That's another bit of shorthand.
Right.
You know they're a villain.
That's right.
Unless it's a hero with a mask, then you totally confuse the reader.
Okay.
And villains also have big thighs. Huh?
Big thighs, big boots.
Makes them powerful.
Big egos.
Right.
That's why they always lose. Sounds good to me.
That's your psychological training.
That's right. That's
there,
right. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Now we got the damsel in distress.
Oh,
here.
yeah. I'm waiting to see her.
And let's say she's the
Press
secretary.
down hard enough so that everybody can see her.
Right.
We're waiting for her.
All right.
We'll nice dark pen.
All right. We'll make her the secretary of this guy. Whose secret identity, I guess. He's a businessman, and this is his secretary.
He looks like your typical businessman.
That's right.
And no doubt about that.
And he's secretly in love with her.
You not only draw the picture, you get a whole story in your mind when you do it.
Well,
that's the best.
I think the more successful artists will think more than just I'm going to draw this guy's story or whatever. They're gonna put more of their own personality into it and what they think would be neat in the story.
I notice you have the villain miming. You're putting a little of your personality in.
Okay, and then she's gonna have this mini dress here.
Well, there she is. You've almost got her.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
And then I'm gonna take this pen so I can do the finer detail of her face. Give her a sort of a 90s short little bob there. Some earrings. She's got these lines too.
That's great.
Okay, and then all right.
So you were able to do it. You've got the hero over here in the foreground.
Right.
You have. Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you. You want to darken his ponytail.
Right, right. And then I'm gonna put this window here. And of course, most skyscrapers, well, at least some of them, you can't open the window. So we'll establish part of the story right now. We'll say, look,
he broke the window.
Absolutely.
Right,
there we go. We'll put the glass
he's strong.
in here.
Even though it's unbreakable, this guy can break it.
Right. And the thing about, I tell kids is be observant of everything. If you're in a dentist's office, look at it and try to remember what a dentist's office looks like, because you'll have to draw a dentist's office someday, and it's hard to find that kind of reference. You can just pull it from memory.
They're too busy trembling.
Right. So if I see broken glass or something like that, or a car that's destroyed, I'll look at it and see what kind of shapes and how the glass will break and the lines that you get out of that.
Well, you're known for your broken glass. Now I can see why.
And of course, you got to, to make it, you got to make it realistic.
The glass has to be on the floor.
Right.
Some would have
naturally.
fallen
Right.
Right.
Some outside. Whatever. Okay. So we put some glass here, and then we'll put a table here in the middle ground, which is,
basically what you're talking about as you talk, as you draw. These are pretty much the thoughts that would go through a comic book artist's mind as he draws the strip. Then
you got to supply all the background stuff. You got to supply
make it look real.
You're the costumer, director, props guy. You have an unlimited budget. You just have time constraints. That's what it comes down to.
Now let me ask you, talking about making things look real, what do you think makes? There are so many comics. Some do better than others. What makes a successful comic? What's the difference?
I think it's putting the thought and care into it. A lot of people just want to draw heroes, or they just want to draw women, and they'll slough off on the backgrounds, or slough off on the storytelling. And you got to care about every aspect.
It's all got to be good.
Yeah, and I think all the guys that are very successful at it are the ones that have the passion to put the time in on every aspect of it. To the broken glass on the ground, and if I in the next panel I do a reverse shot of this, I'm going to make sure the backgrounds are as close as I can get to it. You just don't want to be sloppy with it, and you want to have that dynamic feel.
Well, you know what might be interesting also. I think if we could grab another sheet of board now.
Sure.
Although I know you want to show off and how you draw skyscrapers in the background.
Well, let me hear your idea first, and then I'll stop.
It would be cute if you could draw two little panels.
Right.
One, what you might call the right way, and the other the wrong way. In other words, why is one successful and the other is just a drawing?
Right.
Now, I can't think of any particular pose.
And hello to the PVFS. Welcome, lady. Really great work there. Well, thank you. It is certainly a good one right here to see. Page 7, all of its glory. Most especially with Fiona stripping right there. And remember, this is a woman right here saying that I'm doing great work with this page of a lady stripping in a garden. So that is very, very nice to have that completely spit in the face of all of that didactic feminist garbage where, oh, how dare, don't you know it's so evil? Well, you don't speak for all women. Some women are, functioning adults that can see an attractive woman in a skimpy outfit or see an attractive woman stripped naked and are not screaming in terror. So there we go. Right here. With all that Art Nouveau we've been incorporating. Just keeping it funky fresh. But good times. Good times.
The moment, maybe you can think of one. You're not going to let go of this. You're going to finish this.
No.
drawing
While
no
you're
matter
talking,
what.
I'm listening.
All right,
I'm
no,
listening.
I want you to be thinking also.
Right.
Okay?
Right. I'm thinking
Now,
already.
on the next sheet, when you finish this,
Right.
And after you've autographed it so that I can fight with everybody else to get it, on the next sheet, I want you to think of some very simple scene that you could draw quickly and draw one version of it that would be adequate for most any other comic book company and with any other comic book artist, but then show how you would do it to make it really a powerful scene.
Right.
Can you do that, or am I
Okay.
asking?
No.
too much?
I know exactly. I can do something.
I
real
finally
easy.
met somebody who understands what I said. That's really great.
Anyway.
Hey, that is really great.
Actually, to make it seem like there's glass here is a little technique.
Attaboy.
There we go.
And obviously, it's a modern building, so this is the built-in fluorescent lighting. It's right in the ceiling.
Right, and I would put one there, but I think the word balloon would go there. So,
Okay.
or maybe we'll go here.
You know what everybody would like to see, says he cagily. How do you sign your name? People would love to see your signature. Because when I steal this, I want it to be on there.
All right. How's that?
It's very legible. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and people will have to kill to get this from me.
Okay.
Now, let's see what that next one is going to
Two
be.
panels. Okay. Bum, bum, bum.
One is going to be adequate, you know, the kind that you might find that your beginning artist
Okay.
might do. And one will be a Jim Lee type.
Actually, you know, like we were talking earlier,
What is it we're showing?
I'm gonna have two guys talking to each other. Okay.
All right.
It's a boring scene.
Right.
It's a talk scene.
Unless they're you and me, of course.
Absolutely. In this one, it's going to be very clear what's happening and everything, but it's not a shot. It's not an artistically pleasing shot. This one I'm going to play around with and create a little more depth in it and play around with the mood and put those little extra things which make those panels
I
better.
gotcha.
Right. And actually, I picked this all up from the book you did with John Buscema, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And so there's nothing real new here, but
it's fun to see it.
okay. Do your panel borders. Okay.
You're also known for your borders, I might add.
What am I not known for? All right. Okay, so let's say we got
For being in a bad mood, I think.
All right. We got it.
Now, these are the two men talking.
Right. You got a cigar here.
Now, it looks like he's standing. Is he leaning on a table?
Yeah, he's leaning. This is because it's so small. It's just going to be a little shorthand.
Fine.
here.
So we're really talking layout. We're going to see a good layout and a bad layout. Or inadequate layout.
Right. Well, this isn't awful. It certainly tells what's going on. It's very
Right.
clear and everything. And actually, you might even want to do a panel like this to start with to establish a scene. I just, I wouldn't do a whole
Establish it
story.
quietly.
Right. I wouldn't do a whole story at this depth, which is a medium shot, at this kind of angle, which is straight on. But whatever.
Well, now I'm going to tell you something. I find that when an artist is really as good and as adept at it is very difficult to draw something that isn't good. Because even though you're considering this fairly simple and uninteresting, I mean, that's really a beautiful layout, It's concise, it's well balanced. But all right, now let's see how you're going to do to make it
Okay.
exciting.
All right. I guess basically his boss is bawling him out.
Yeah.
And from the gestures, I don't get that sense. You might have written that the fat boss is bawling out his underling here.
Who is standing like this.
Right. And this
taking
this
it.
adequately takes it. It tells a story, but it doesn't convey some of the emotional stuff that you want to carry through in your story. So in this one, I'm going to have the boss in the foreground. He's going to be much larger in the image, and he's going to be leaning in on the guy.
The baller is going to be much bigger
Right,
than the ballee.
Right. And you
Okay.
can see I like to do a lot of stuff where I'm looking right behind the shoulder kind of thing. All right.
You don't have to draw as much. Now, this is going to be a Jim Lee bawling out.
Right.
I mean, we're going to feel the pain of that guy who's being bawled out, right?
Right.
And of course, he's got a cigar with a lot of smoke coming out.
I don't know if when you're writing and stuff, whether you like sound out the sound effects or whatever. Because like when
Always.
I'm drawing, I go, you know, whatever, and
Always.
I always make the grimace of the character. So when I'm drawing,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
make the, even though I'm not drawing it, I'm making fate. My wife comes in all the time and says, "What's happening in here?" She hears the noises.
all right,
Okay.
okay, and then he's got. And then this guy, to show that he's being flustered here, I'll have him reach in on his collar there. So he's got his finger in here.
Trying to loosen his collar because it's getting very tight all of a sudden.
It's getting tight.
It's
Feels the
getting hot
pressure
in there.
Yeah, absolutely, and the
Right.
smoke is all over the place. And
That smoke is another little bit of your little shorthand.
right, and I'll play with it and let it trail around like it's a living thing here. Because usually smoke.
Well, he is not wearing glasses nowadays like he used to here in this video, so maybe he had surgery, maybe it just looks different because of the glasses on.
Just goes straight up. It's pretty boring. But you can take a license. You can take license with it and go, oh, okay, it's going to snake around like this.
Thanks for coming in to talk about Doug Jr.
Of course. Third grade is when I learned Liberty Mutual could save you hundreds by customizing your car insurance.
Why don't you come sit with us?
Oh, a little snug. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Let's skip past this.
What a minute.
Okay.
I know you always make your little loose thing with your. Well, most every artist does that, I guess, right? You rough it in very lightly.
People go to very elaborate measures to make sure that the drawing will fit in the space. They'll do even tighter stuff than this. Okay.
Not when they only have 3 minutes left.
No, absolutely. Okay. Give it an eye here. I usually start with the eyes or the wisp of hair that is sort of a trademark that I
Right.
put right between the.
Let me ask you a question while you're drawing,
Sure.
if it doesn't throw you off, and I know it won't. How many pages do you do a day, or panels, or however you'd want to classify it?
I'll typically do like 1 page a day. I
Really?
can do more.
And is that pencil ending?
No, just pencil.
Pencil, one
Right.
page of pencil.
Mhm.
But of course, as elaborate as you make each panel, I can understand why it would be one. But one a day, the way you draw, that's quite a lot. Do
It
you put
is.
in a you put
Yeah.
in a long day?
Typically.
Don't stop to scratch your
Oh,
lip.
right.
It's now 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
You can scratch your lip when we're finished. How long a day do you put in?
I'd say I put in like 10 to 14 hours. And
Really?
Yeah, 6 days a week.
Oh man.
Like I said, it's labor intensive. You're just drawing so much stuff. It's not just cars and not just people. You got to draw buildings and people and.
Yeah. Well, of course, if you put in maybe 15 hours a day, you might have sold 9 million copies. You never know.
Well, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's a real kick. It's a terrific job. I'd advise it for anybody that.
Well, you
can
seem
draw.
very happy with it. And you seem somehow very relaxed and very easygoing. You know, I figured a guy like you would be incredibly temperamental. There'd be no way I could talk to you. You'd be saying, "Shut up, Lee. This is my show, and I'm going to do it." But I've been able to browbeat you, been rotten to you, and it's wonderful.
I didn't get any sleep last night.
Neither did I. Is this any special girl?
No, I'm just making it up as I go along.
Okay.
I didn't even realize she was going to be like a party dress until I said, "Okay, well, there you go."
I guess I was talking to you, and you were almost drawing unconsciously.
Right.
Or
I do
subconsciously,
when
or
I'm talking
subliminally.
when I'm talking on the phone with people. I doodle little things and nothing.
Do you sketch all the time? I mean, even when you're not
Just
doing the
doodles?
strip?
I
Yeah.
rarely do finish work outside of the work I do in comics. There's just that's like real work to take a drawing that you just kind of toyed with and take it to completion. You know.
Well, we have about 2 minutes, and I have a feeling you're going to finish this gal. Do you always draw with broken lines, sort of like that? You know, there's a space there, and there's a little space. Does that give you a feeling of more looseness? Or?
The older style would be a fluid line all
Yeah.
over the place. A lot of more the younger artists will break it up simply because it the same way people play with line weights, like this line will be thicker here and lighter up here. You can take it to the extreme where it vanishes.
Oh, I see
right?
what you mean.
Right, so it's like
gotten so thin that you don't see it.
right. And the
Keep
thing,
drawing.
okay, right. So
You're one of these guys that can't draw and chew gum at the same time, right?
sometimes.
Now you're going to finish it. We still have 2 minutes.
Right. Okay.
My gosh, we could give her a name and we have a new heroine.
Right.
Or villainous, depending on the expression you give her.
And actually, since it's comic books, we'll just give her a little holster here.
We're down to 1 minute, Jim.
1 minute.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
All right.
You
Wait,
see,
hold on.
you do have a flair for the dramatic. You're even making this last drawing dramatic. Will he make it or won't he make it?
All right. I'm just going to pop in some blacks here. Kind of lycra pants, I suppose.
Yeah, I can tell that. I think you're really enjoying this. You do like to draw, don't
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Well, between your psychology and your mime and your drawing and your articulateness, it has been really a pleasure talking to you, Jim. And I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I
No,
have.
definitely. It's been a pleasure.
And I've got to tell you that I think you've given concrete evidence why the name of our series is A Visit with the Comic Book Greats. I want to thank you
Thank you,
very
Stan.
much for coming. It's been a great pleasure.
All right.
And I don't know how much more of this you would want to do. You
I
wanna go
think
down
I'm just
to-
going to sign
you
my
didn't-
name
did
or
you do
something
it?
like that. Well,
Stay tuned for Wildcats.
howdy, true believers. This is Jim Lee here. I'm not normally like this. I've just been hanging around Stan Lee too much. Basically, we're here in Homage Studios. This is my little office. And this is a supplemental addition to the video. And I'm going to talk about my new book coming out called Wildcats, Covert Action Teams. It debuts in late July, early August. Hopefully I'll get it done in time. Let me show you around a little bit, and then I'll show you some of the characters I've got cooking. All right. Anyway, to my left here, I've got my bookshelf, got mail I have to answer, got little toys and junk like that, stack of comic books, calendar, up here on the wall. This is kind of where I plot my stories, and I put it on an erasable board, and then I have someone type it up so that it's legible. This is where I do all the work, the drawing, keep all your supplies, arm's reach, the almighty phone, all the image boys over here. I got a stereo underneath the desk, and the desk just serves to put the clutter, organizes the clutter a little bit. Anyway, that's my working office there. This is what we call the pit. It's more the bullpen area of the studio. And over here we have Scott Williams' comfort zone. We've got a TV, a stereo, a black leather sofa. Over here is Wolf Portasio's work area. That's kind of where we eat lunch there in the center. Over in the far right-hand corner is Mark Silvestri's work area. And that little head bopping, that hand there, that's Joe Chito. He's a fan.
2 out of 3. Let's go. Come on.
Okay. Relax, man. This is our ping pong table. This is the way we kind of get a lot of our frustrations and out in even shape.
Serve it up. Come on.
You're killing it. Anyway, enough of that.
Let's go hear from more citizens of the Lord.
I love my lawn. I love the way it looks.
So what do you do to keep this so lush?
After winter, you put down a crabgrass preventer.
We hate crabgrass.
That's pretty much it. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about Wildcats, Covert Action Teams. They're all depicted here, about 8 alien beings, sort of, some are half alien. Essentially, they're led by this character here, Emp. I got a shot here, the actual comic book page. And he's not upside down, he's just kind of sleeping off a bad hangover in an alleyway. Anyway, I don't get too much into the character, but he starts out as this kind of wandering kind of wino homeless person who's basically discovered by, let's see if I can find her, a sort of cosmic lady in the lake character called Void, who basically puts a quest on his shoulders to lead a superpowered beings called the Wildcats against the evil shape-shifting aliens who are trying to just take over the world. Basically, I'll just go through the characters a little bit. We met M and Void already. This is Spartan. He's a bioengineered leader, sort of combat leader of the team. This is Warblade. He's a Korean character that's able to elongate his fingers and other parts of his body, and he's a mean sucker. This big guy with the M on his head is Maul, and he's the big brawny guy of the group. In his arms is Voodoo, the New Age character of the group. Zealot, basically your female Conan the Barbarian, take no prisoners type. And the mystery man over here is the Grifter. Anyway, I don't really want to get too much into the storyline because then you won't, check out the comic book. But I will show you kind of how I do some of the work. Basically, my pages all kind of start out in these sort of scribbles. Close shot of this, and there are figures here, little figures running. Here's a close-up of a head. I think this is somebody slashing somebody's head off, or maybe I think that's a car. No, I don't know. It's something. I usually figure it out. And this just kind of gets the gesture in there, and it does the storytelling for me very simply, very effectively. And then from there, I'll move on to kind of more finished pencils. You can sort of see from this double-page spread. This is kind of the finished head here. A lot of kind of technical junk in here, another big headshot here. And you can sort of see unfinished panels over on this side. Anyway, then I give that to Scott Williams, and he basically inks over the pencil line work, and you get to this kind of state. And he does terrific gradations here, just beautiful. And after a couple days, you get something that remotely looks finished, like I think this page is finished. And we haven't put the word balloons on yet. We do that later. Anyway, I've got a couple scrap pieces of paper here, and give you some hints.
And yes, this camcorder is racist. Making him look very, very yellow. Remember, he came from Seoul, South Korea, but he came from Seoul, South Korea to St. Louis. So it's easy to imagine Fred G. Sanford from Sanford and Son looking at him and going, "Hey there. Hey, look at the yellow boy over there. Hey, son, look, Lamont, look over there. It's Jimmy Ching Chong. He came here from Korea. He says he came here from Seoul, but I've seen Jimmy dance. He ain't got no soul. If he had any soul, he'd be able to dance. I don't know why. That's cruel. You come from a place called Seoul, but then you got no soul when you dance. Po little Jimmy Ching Chong. Po Jimmy. Po Jimmy Ching Chong. I feel sorry for you. That's what you get from coming from a country that ain't got no Jesus. That's one thing I never agree with Esther about. You ain't got no Jesus in your life. You a sucker. You a sucker. I remember the first time I saw Jimmy Ching Chong dance down there in St. Louis, I was looking at him going, "Oh, this is the big one. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey." And I'm pretty sure most of you do not remember or have ever heard of Sanford and Son at all. But can the sucker dig it? Yes, yes, he can. That's what's going on there. Po little Jimmy Ching Chong. Yeah, that's right. Like Po little Take Take. He decides he not only gonna walk again, he decides he's gonna race again. He coming into the Olympics with some bent back paper clips. They look a little baby boomerangs going take, 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 take. Now you gotta be in your tune with your star player. If you run track for a motherfucking living and lose both your legs and decide to go into the Olympics anyway, he tried to qualify for the Olympics and they disqualified him because they said, and he had, and I quote, an unfair advantage. You mean the motherfucker who's running with no goddamn legs? Take, 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 take. Oh, little take, take. Now, I hate losers and quitters, but when you run track for a motherfucking living and lose both your legs, you have earned the right to sit this one out. And well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for watching. Subscribe so the channel will reach 10,000 subs. Become a member today and shop my art store with the first link in the description below, where you can buy my art or commission me or support me with a donation. Or you can go and get a copy of my comic book Encrypted. A regular copy is $5, an autographed copy is $10, an autographed and sketched in copy is $20. Or you can subscribe to the comic for $60, or get a subscription with your copies autographed for $90. Tomorrow I'll have new shorts at 5 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 and 6. Oh, the new video at 6:30, and I'll be live again at 10. So until then, felines, slam it, lick it, suck it, and see you, Space Cowboy.